Now, we've got today a very interesting episode. We're having a special caller in an hour that I'm going to be having a conversation with, and I'm very, very, very excited about and looking forward to this conversation. And I hope you guys stick around. But one of the most interesting dudes ever with this incredible background, and he's accomplished something that people thought was impossible. And
Many people said it was impossible.
yeah, so I'm genuinely excited. I'm not kidding. I know some of y'all probably think I'm kidding. I'm not. All right, so this whole thing started when this dude, Mark Elliott, emailed me a few weeks ago. I'll read the email to you guys that I got. As you guys know, I have a lot of interest in NXIVM. I am a believer. I think Keith Ramirez is a modern day genius, and he's been unfairly slated as a villain. So does Mark. Mark is an award-winning speaker who lived with Tourette's syndrome for 20 years and then beat it completely, mind over body. That shocked me.
That's quite a claim.
And now with the now infamous company NXIVM, he was recently featured in the third episode of the documentary The Vow on HBO. We've talked about The Vow on this show. He actually, and good for him, he sued HBO or was it someone else?
Someone else. A different documentary that was on Stars, I believe it was, called Seduced. That was also about the NXIVM group.
Yeah, check chat, please, Dan. Now he said, oh, it is. Okay, good. Now he said, I recently saw your coverage of poking holes in the Andrew Tate narrative, which is true. Now, I've been critical of Andrew Tate, but I think he does a lot of good things too. And it's just not fair. All he wants to do is help a generation of men. And then so what? He's the bad guy? Men need a voice. That's where me and Mark Elliott agree. Given your commitment to pursue truth and openness to challenge prevailing narratives, Mark said in his email to me, I believe you would be fascinated with my story and the recent developments that have unfolded in the case against Mr. Ramirez. Specifically, 7 digital forensic experts, including 4 former FBI, have come forward with evidence showing that with scientific certainty that the FBI tampered with the child prawn digital evidence in the trial. Keith was convicted of having child P word and, all kinds of other horrible stuff, which he's all innocent of, according to Mark. Also, the one thing that I find really interesting about Mark is that through NXIVM and with Keith's teaching, Mark, who has Tourette's syndrome, is complete. He just said, I'm done. He did, my mind is more powerful than
matter.
this, and I'm done with Tourette's, he said. So he asked me, would you be open for a short call? He says, I have no doubt you will be at least very intrigued. Thanks for your time. So that's Mark, inspirational speaker. And I said to myself, I am interested. I do want to talk to Mark. And so Mark is actually on the phone, and we've been setting this up for a couple of weeks. So Mark, whenever you're ready, there he is. Thanks, man, for being here. It's so awesome to meet someone like you.
That's great. Thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. No, I can hear you great.
Okay, perfect. I heard a little bit of the introduction. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. So why did you reach out to me? I guess, first of all, I'm curious about your whole journey. Maybe you could start there.
Well, as I had wrote you in the email, myself and my team, we had been researching different people that are willing ultimately to challenge the status quo.
Right.
And of course, the Andrew Tate was one of the biggest stories. It was an international story. And there was, some people like yourself that were willing to at least question.
Right.
With our situation with Keith and NXIVM is that there has been basically one narrative for the past 5 years. This actually started about 5 years ago. It was in 2000. It was in October of 2017
Now,
when the
just
New
to
York
clarify,
Times article.
Keith Ramirez is the leader, I guess, I don't know what's the correct term, of NXIVM, and he was convicted for, geez, was like 7 different felonies, huh? But
Yeah, so
he
was
didn't do any of
convicted.
it.
Yeah, so I'll definitely get to all of that. What he was convicted of many different things, including sex trafficking, forced labor, racketeering,
Wire
and yes,
fraud.
although I believe
Yeah.
wire fraud. Yeah. Now, although I believe he's innocent, that's ultimately not why I reached out to you.
Right.
It was given the fact that the narrative was basically an international narrative creating this, basically was a hate campaign against Keith Raniere and NXIVM and the community.
Sure.
Anyone that was trying to speak out was basically vilified. Anyone that came out in support of, forget Keith, even just came out of support of NXIVM was vilified in the media.
I actually really support NXIVM. I think it's super interesting what they've been able to do. I want to say Andrew Tate, I totally poke holes in that. Like, I don't know if you've been following the case in Romania, but like there's so many red flags that says he's innocent. I don't know if you've been following that.
I haven't been following it closely. Obviously, it's definitely been something I've been watching from afar, as it seems like there's just a lot of similarities in the fact that, we live in a time that if you make someone a monster in the media, it's, guilty, basically you're guilty until proven innocent.
Right.
You then, the authorities can then ultimately do whatever they want to the person.
Sorry to cut off. Actually, Keith was convicted of 7 crimes, though.
Yeah, the reason I said that is because before the trial even happened, he was already vilified and made a monster. You even have, even on the Dr. Oz show, this was before Keith was even arrested. You have Dr. Oz saying on national television that Keith raped and tortured women.
Oh my God.
Now, just so you know, even after he was convicted of these charges, and this is what's mind-blowing for a lot of people, Keith Raniere, who's this alleged sex cult leader of an international sex cult, if you actually look at the charges and the evidence of what he was convicted for, there's not a single charge. This is crazy. There's not a single charge of violence, weapons, or drugs, and there's not a single charge of Keith Raniere having sex with someone.
Well, let's see here. Count 2. Let's see. Sexual exploitation of a child. He was convicted of that, right? Because I want to clear his name with you. So he was convicted of sexual exploitation of a child, possession of child pornography. He was convicted of trafficking for labor and services, extortion, sex trafficking, forced labor, attempted sex trafficking. So he tried and failed, but in other ways he was successful. That's what they claim, right? But it's outrageous that and he was never, he was never violent, and so that kind of says it all, huh?
Yeah, I want to be super clear. There's most of what people have heard about Keith in the media, and then what the government, put out there in the media as well, is, in my opinion, completely false, and most of it is completely fabricated.
Right.
Again, that's not my intent of why I wanted to come, on and talk with you guys. Obviously, if we had longer, conversations, we could look at more specifics and things about Keith Raniere and who he is as a person. But in the emails, why I got in touch with you is that one of the things that happened right before the trial, here you had an investigation for a whole year, and there were 6 co-defendants, and this whole case was about consenting adults. And then 55 days before trial,
it was also about wire fraud, trafficking, racketeering, child pornography.
Yeah, so those were all the different charges.
Okay.
But even with
sorry. Go ahead.
Well, just to be clear though, even with all of these horrific charges, sex trafficking, forced labor, racketeering, none of the co-defendants had pled guilty. Wire fraud. None of them had pled guilty, which is almost unheard of in federal court. I think it's like 97%.
You couldn't flip them because they're innocent. There's nothing to flip.
So the thing is that 55 days before trial, all of a sudden the FBI found child pornography. And when I say child pornography, they found 22 photos of a nude woman on an external hard drive. It wasn't on his computer. It wasn't on a camera. It was on a random external hard drive in a residence that many people frequent in. It wasn't even Keith's home. So of course, the moment they found that, it completely changed the whole dynamic of the case, where now you have minors involved.
Right, and
not only
they
did
could have
charge him with-
planted it. I mean, the FBI has a track record of doing stuff like that. I mean, they're just monsters. The FBI, I don't trust them at all, and I think they probably planted it. But my concern, at least just from the optics point of view, because again, I'm on your guys' side. Camille was a 15-year-old who she wrote a victim statement, impact statement, that said that he actually raped her when she was 15. And she put out a statement and all that. It's crazy. She said she met him when he was 13. And then when she was 15, he was 45 and he slept with her. But that's just, why was she lying like that?
Yeah, so I want to make something very clear. I don't support sexual assault against women in any way. And
no, I know.
Any of my friends who are out there, I just want to make that very clear, as it's a very sensitive subject.
Yeah, of course.
What I was saying, though, and then I will get to she did say those things, but what's important to realize is that the child pornography was all of a sudden found 55 days before trial, and then all other co-defendants pled guilty. So not only was he charged with possession of child pornography, he then was also charged with sexual exploitation of a minor, which is probably one of the most egregious charges somebody can get against them, charged against them, which ultimately is a death sentence for many people.
Yeah, and just to go back to what you're saying, 55 days before trial, it's like, when did they have the time to investigate that,
Well, they also had this hard drive and this alleged camera for over a year.
So yeah,
that's the context which happened right before trial. Yes, Camille, her name is Cami. She did give a victim impact statement, but what is important for people to realize is that a victim impact statement is after the trial is over, after the verdict. So it's a statement not given under oath. Well after the trial was over, and she also didn't testify.
You think she's lying, essentially? I mean, or at least there'd be no consequence to her lying, right?
That's my point. I'm not here to debate whether or not.
Yeah, you don't want to call her a liar. I get it. But you know what's crazy?
What I'm saying is,
okay, go ahead. Yeah,
what I'm just saying, it's important that if we want to live in a society that has due process and we care about justice, it's important to question.
Absolutely,
it's important to question. And my point is, if somebody gives a victim impact statement and says, "I was raped and this happened," I'm not saying that's not true, but you can't say that that's ultimately true due process when someone's not under oath.
For sure. There was no trial.
And so that's my point.
There was no trial. Like, why are we supposed to take her impact statement seriously when there was no trial?
That is my point.
Okay.
What I do know, which is under oath and sworn statements, is what I got in touch with you about with respect to, we now have 7 digital forensic experts, and this is what's incredible. 4 of the 7 are former FBI.
Before we go down that thread, I just wanted to mention, and I don't know if this is an issue for you guys, but there was 15 other victim impact statements from all different individuals. So that's like, dang, how do we get over that?
Again, if we had like a 3-hour podcast, I can go into different things. This is the short of it, though, just to even answer. Like I said, my intent wasn't to try to defend or combat like all these different allegations. But again, what people don't realize, the way that the narrative was out there, is that 17,000 people from around the world took these courses. Okay. 1 in 400 of participants in the classes that Keith had created were billionaires. We had people from Stanford, from Harvard, entrepreneurs. These were very thoughtful, rational people taking courses that had a profound effect on their life.
Right? I mean, Scientology is the same way, and they get vilified too. They have tons of famous people, tons of rich people, and it's unfair that Scientology is vilified, don't you think?
I haven't taken Scientology. I don't agree with. But my point is, I don't agree with character assassination, or speaking badly about a group just because they're different or you don't like them. But the reason I mentioned about the 17,000 is that if you actually look at the trial, in the NXIVM trial, there's actually, out of 17,000 people, I think in the trial, don't take my word for it, I think there's only 3 people that were students of the 17,000 that were even claiming they were victims of a crime.
So the only
Three out of
only
17,000. So
three people claimed that they were molested by Keith.
well, no, they weren't even claiming that they were molested. There's not even. This is like how the insanity and the exaggeration of what's out there.
Right.
There's not a single charge of Keith assaulting or raping or hurting anyone means of violence. There's nothing in the trial of that.
Right. There's no violence. They're only saying he coerced them, but that's not really a crime, is it?
Well, that's what they're claiming. But
Right.
my point is that if you want to look at the reality, if you even want to say that everything that happened in the trial is true,
Yeah.
this is a man who's now convicted and sentenced to 120 years without any violence, weapons, drugs.
Right. And I'm with you 100% because coercion's not even a crime. Like it's not illegal to manipulate people.
Well,
it just means you're smarter in a way.
Not even
you know what I mean? Like if you're able to manipulate people to do what you want, it just means you're smarter.
So again, and this is a whole conversation about things in the trial,
right?
But the bigger issue, the thing that is, I think, vital and relevant to everyone who's listens to you, and then also just all citizens in the United States. We now have 4 former FBI agents that were digital forensic experts that have come out that under sworn testimony shows that the child pornography evidence was to a scientific certainty tampered with and also planted.
That is very concerning.
Some of the evidence points that some of the modifications took place while in the possession of the FBI.
That is very concerning. So what is So what's the goal here? To get a retrial for Keith?
Well, the ultimate goal is trying to investigate these crimes.
Right.
There's clear beyond probable cause that crimes were committed by FBI agents and potentially even the prosecution and maybe other entities as well in the DOJ.
So we're going to
and that is an effect of
Keith.
that.
Yeah.
Because crimes were committed against someone who is being tried in a trial to convict them, that person should ultimately be let free.
Let him free.
And so
let free Keith. Well, what's interesting is that, first of all, the FBI is a criminal organization just from the start. I mean, it's insane the things that they've done to people, like tampering evidence in the case of Keith. But I think that because they did that, we should probably just expunge the extortion, the identity theft, the forced labor, the conspiracy to commit identity theft, exploiting of a child, forced labor. Wire fraud, and so we should expunge all those, huh?
It took me a second to get your humor because there's also a little delay. I was like, is he making a joke? I was like,
yeah,
oh,
I know. Sorry, I just yeah, but so what do we do about those other ones, right? Because we got to convince everyone that Keith is like a cool dude.
Well, this is what I'm saying is that we don't need to convince anyone of how cool he is. Someone can think that Keith Raniere, they can believe he's the devil. That's ultimately irrelevant and a distraction to the reality of, did this person receive due process? If we want to live in a society that we want to have a justice system that treats everyone exactly the same, whether you think someone is the devil or you think someone is Mr. Rogers, they should be treated exactly the same under the law. Now, if it's the case that the government actually had evidence on Keith Raniere, then the question then becomes, well, why would they need to fabricate and tamper with evidence?
Right. That is the question. Free Keith. Actually, I want to talk
just to answer.
Oh, go ahead. I wanted to ask you about your
last thing.
Sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to just make one other comment because you said, as I know you were being facetious about all these other charges.
Yeah.
If you again, there's these buzzwords of sex trafficking and forced labor. Yes, those on its face value sound horrific.
Right, but what does it even mean?
Exactly. If
Right.
like when you think of, if you heard that someone that got charged with sex trafficking, what would you imagine?
Yeah, I would imagine somebody was locked to what do you call? Yeah, locked to
A
a
furnace
radiator, forced to do
or
like
a radio.
webcam work, or you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that, by the way, is a real thing. Sex trafficking, people being kidnapped,
Yeah.
forced into sex slavery is a real thing. If you actually
So-
look at the evidence of what happened in this trial, you have a 29-year-old female who is an actress living in Manhattan, who is a part of the NXIVM community. She was taking classes. She was in a relationship with Keith. She also had a history of being more kinky. Together,
She's
they had come
kinky.
up with an experience where, and this is literally, if you look at the transcripts, this is what happened.
Mhm.
One woman, this 29-year-old, received oral sex from another woman and no money was exchanged. She took a bus from Brooklyn to Albany,
Right.
and they convicted Keith Raniere of sex trafficking.
Just because she was kinky.
Well, that's one way to look at it.
Right.
The same woman, the 29-year-old actress, she's also the victim of the alleged forced labor.
Mhm.
This is a woman who had to transcribe 5 hours of video for a memorial, and she read 50 articles that Keith had written, and she gave feedback on them and actually loved reading them.
Mm.
He was convicted of forced labor.
Because she wasn't
Now-
paid for her work, or what?
Well, that's what they were claiming.
And how old
they
was
were
she?
able to concoct. She was 29 years old.
But
My point is that
totally.
there's what's in the media, which isn't, and of course, if you hear these words, it's not like I don't hear these things: forced labor, sex trafficking, and it causes
Horrible.
me to have caution. And I'm like, holy
I-
crap,
was
what
the-
happened here?
So,
But
this one sounds really bad, and hopefully, because you have such an intimate understanding and you have a great way of explaining it. So, how do we do the sexual exploitation of a child? Because that one sounds so bad. So, how do we break that one down?
that one is also related to the child pornography, as I said. So they found 22 photos of a naked woman. Now, by looking at the photos is not how they realized that it was child pornography.
But it's women
because
he knew, right? It was girls he knew.
Yeah, these are women that he knew.
Yeah, and so somebody had pictures of them naked when they were kids, but it wasn't Keith.
Well, no, but this is just if I could
Right.
just finish real quick, is
Right.
that the 22 photos were not deemed child pornography because they were photos of some sexual act. The
Mhm.
way that they deemed
They were
them to be child
artsy.
pornography was based off of the file dates. And based off of the file dates, they then said when the photos were taken is when this person
They
would have
probably
been
didn't
15
even
years
look
old.
like kids in the picture.
That's my
Yeah.
point is that by looking at the photo, they weren't deemed child pornography.
And I mean, if you saw the photo, which you should get a hold of those photos, they probably look like
I have not seen them.
adults.
I have not seen the photos.
Oh, you haven't?
Those are, those are contraband photos.
Right.
But my point is that again, when you hear the word child pornography, it incites, all these horrible images and fears. But what we're talking about is on not on someone's computer, not on their camera, not on a camera card, in a random external hard drive. There's 22 photos
Right.
of a naked woman who they deemed was underage because of the file dates. So just the last thing is the sexual exploitation of a minor is because supposedly they were able to link through a media card and from a camera, and that media card to a scientific certainty by 7 digital forensic experts, 4 former FBI, was modified while in the possession of the FBI because they were able to link that media card to a camera that's allegedly Keith owned. That's how he was charged with sexual exploitation of a minor.
That's so ridiculous that that's all they need.
Wait, I don't know if you're being
No, I'm dead
joking,
serious. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's scary the world we live in where, like, and people can just say whatever, and then you just change the data on a file card, and that's all it takes. It's It's scary. As a man, I'm scared of that.
Everyone should be scared of this. This is why the reason we're trying to reach out to people is because the narrative is so strong and the prejudice against Keith and NXIVM is so intense, is that basically it stops people from having a rational, open conversation about, wait a minute, what actually took place here? And what took place here is not just, there was some prejudice in a trial, is that clearly you have government actors, specific personnel in the FBI. And again, this is not an attack on the whole FBI.
Actually, there's one thing I want to get your thoughts on here. So Camilla's the one who he apparently had photos of. That was the 15-year-old girl who did an impact statement, or she did an impact statement and said that he took her virginity when she was 15, which is outrageous. I mean, you can't. The thing is, you can't. If she was willing, what's the problem? I don't get it. But anyway, right? You understand that.
Again,
right.
Whether or not that happened or
it's
didn't happen.
It's not assault if she liked it. And Keith is awesome.
I'm starting to, I'm feeling your humor a little bit more. Like I said, there's a little delay as well.
So Camilla,
I just want to be super clear again. I don't support sexual assault, rape in any way.
Yeah.
I'm not here to be able to be a referee about what he said or she said or what happened behind closed doors. What I do know is that I don't believe that somebody giving a victim impact statement that isn't under oath, which is basically no different from somebody going on Twitter and saying, I was raped by this person.
Right. It's just
with absolutely no due process.
Right. Because
could be looked at.
He doesn't even know them. So it's like the same as a random tweet. Like they've never even met.
No, they
do
have
know
met
each other.
Ethan.
Okay. Shit.
They do know, but they do know each other.
They do know each other.
But do you understand what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So this girl, Camille, who she said in her impact statement that Raniere and his co-conspirator, who also trafficked Daniela for labor and services, said they confined her to a hotel room, or to a room, for nearly 2 years in an attempt to force Daniela to work for him. And then Daniela was told that if she left the room, she would be sent to Mexico without any identifying documents. So that's probably what they mean by like sex trafficking or forced labor, but that's just someone on Twitter just making shit up.
Well, did you see the second season of The Vow?
No, I didn't watch the second season. Was that? Yeah.
Gotcha. I don't blame you.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah.
It's incredible. Again, from just the label of somebody, I think it's document servitude. That sounds horrible.
Right.
But again, if you just look at the facts, this is a young girl who is who is in a room in her family's home.
Okay.
Like she was in a room and the door wasn't locked.
Right.
And if anyone questions me on that, this is incredible. This is how amazing how a documentary can seemingly put eerie music on something and make it seem horrific.
Right.
In the documentary, they're actually doing a voiceover of her reading from her lines from the court transcript. So they're reading it verbatim from what she said in court as she was testifying under oath. And at the very end of this episode, as she's talking about how she's been confined to this room for 2 years.
Right.
Do you know how the scene ends?
How?
She says, and then I walked out of the room.
Oh, because she could have left the whole time. They don't really put
because
that
she
out
could
there.
have. Of course, but it's it's the scary music and it's haunting and this illustrations and the cartoon and it's.
Right.
But the way that it's in the media, it sounds as if Keith Raniere kidnapped this person.
I understand.
Put them in a room.
Yeah. I want to ask you.
And that is the issue of, again, of why I reached out is that the media can do whatever they want and paint anyone, with whatever colors they want to create a certain image. And that does not necessarily match the reality of even just basic facts.
Because it's basically her fault for not leaving the room. And what's even crazier is that the whole jury they all got, I don't know how the whole jury agreed on that. But I want to ask you about your experience with Tourette syndrome. I'm super, super fascinated by this. This is this is why kind of NXIVM is kind of interesting, because everyone always just kind of sees like the bad side. That's what's famous now. But NXIVM actually has been helping people in these incredible ways. For example, you had debilitating Tourette syndrome, right? And then I think you joined NXIVM, and Keith was able to help you overcome it totally, like totally cured. Like your Tourette's is 100% gone.
So yes, the answer is I no longer have Tourette syndrome.
Wow.
And it was through the courses that Keith created. It wasn't even one-on-one sessions with anything like with Keith.
Wow.
It was, he had created a curriculum that was around the world. Like I said, 17,000 people took it. I went through the classes just like everybody else. But as I went through them and started to build more self-awareness about myself, I mean, ultimately the courses are classes on emotional intelligence. We had a center here in New York City on 5th and 37th Street, where it's just, you go and sit in chairs and you have conversations with people.
And that cured your Tourette's?
That is
just having
so
that.
I just want to be clear. It's not.
Go ahead.
Yes, it was through these conversations and through these classes, which were a lot of them were philosophical inquiries about different aspects of life. There were practical things. It was also a goal-setting thing for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And it was through these classes and these conversations that beat my Tourette's completely mind over body.
Wow. And so what is it that you tell yourself? Like, just stop ticking. Like, come on, don't be a pussy or whatever. Or I know, I'm joking. I don't mean it like that. But like, I'm over this shit. Sucks. Tourette's is fucking annoying. And I'm just over it.
Yeah, so it's not like that at all. The most simple way that I can describe it is that I've always talked about Tourette's is like there's an itch and there's a scratch.
Oh yeah.
And the Tourette's is that uncomfortable feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ticking is me scratching that itch. And most treatments and the way that we look at Tourette's is, okay, how do we just help the person with this dynamic? So if you take medication, it numbs the itch. Mm-hmm. So that stops you from wanting to scratch it because you don't feel the intense.
Stop it? Like, if you're talking to someone with Tourette's syndrome, what would kind of be your advice to them? Because I know it's just a horrible disease for the people who haven't cured it for themselves yet. And I feel like this knowledge, what would be your advice?
Well, I don't say, just to be clear, I've never said, and so we actually had a documentary that came out. It's called My Tourette's. It's on YouTube for free now.
Okay.
Sadly, almost no one in the world knows about it. It came out after, the negative press, the real negative press, started coming out about 5 years ago. Okay. But in this documentary, you watch these profound transformations of people beating Tourette's mind over body. But even in the movie, we don't say it's a cure. This is not it. We didn't have a cure for Tourette's. Clearly, we had a set of tools for people that were open and wanted to go on a different type of journey. Go on more of a looking inward.
But you guys did cure
for
it.
some.
You said it's 100% gone. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. That sounds like a cure.
Don't say, the reason I don't say cure is because also I just don't think of it as something that you can cure in that way. I have like a completely different, I don't even think of it as a medical disorder in that way now. But I just want to be super clear is that I don't know if we could help everyone. I don't know that the people that we helped wanted to be helped. Okay. If someone wants to lose weight, they could have the best trainer in the whole world. But if they don't want to lose weight,
but weight's
doesn't matter if you got Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But being fat is not a neurological disorder. So that's what really interests me. Because to all the literature, it says Tourette's cannot be cured. So it's incredible.
Look, you're preaching to the choir.
I
lived with it for 20 years. I became a well-known inspirational speaker around the country, talking about Tourette's, living with Tourette's. My whole life was based off of Tourette's.
I can't imagine how hard that
I
must
get
have been.
It was, so then to take a class on emotions and now to be able to have a conversation with you like this, I couldn't even have dreamt of it. I mean, it just wasn't even something that could be possible because of like what you said. I have Tourette's, this neurological genetic disorder that's involuntary and has no cure. Luckily, because of what Keith created and with Nancy Salzman, who also is in jail now, I've been able to go on a profound journey to live a very different life.
Can I ask you a question?
To answer your question,
do you still get the urge to do ticks, or is that completely gone? Like, where did you cut it off?
So the thing about the itch and the scratch, because of how the courses were very different, it's not like I'm sitting here and my itch is 100%, and I'm just like, okay, don't tick, don't say something, hold it back.
Right.
The courses were different than any other thing that I did, is because by going on that exploration, I found out that my itch was way more emotional and psychological than it was physiological. And as a result, and working internal issues I had, anger stuff, beliefs about all this sorts of stuff, as a result of that, my itch went down. So right now,
down to 0?
Do I still have an itch?
Yeah.
It's not at 0, but it's probably at 4 out of 100.
Okay.
So to call that Tourette's is not, I don't even think of it as Tourette's. I think of it as I'm a person that has a body, and all of us have uncomfortable things. And what I come to understand, and this is for me, is that ultimately I was, in a sense, had an impulse disorder.
Mm.
It doesn't mean I had a neurological disorder.
I found
And
this
as I
video
worked things,
or this old video of you, I found really compelling from 14 years ago. Do you mind if I watch it real fast for the audience, just to
Sure,
kind of give you
absolutely.
some background? Yeah. So this is from 14.
Absolutely.
This was 14 years ago from a local news story or something like that, right? That covered your story.
Yeah, yes.
And did you? Yeah. So okay, let me watch it.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were about to press play.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna press play right now. Okay. Are you okay if I press play?
Oh yeah, sorry. I thought you were hitting it.
Okay. Can you play it, Dan?
We're
Oh,
just waiting
it's
with,
on me. It's
with
on me.
suspense.
So,
You got
right.
to hit play.
Are you ready, Mark?
I'm ready.
Okay.
A day before my 17th birthday is when I really ran into the greatest obstacle I had ever encountered with my Tourette syndrome.
A St. Louis area teenager who says he has Tourette syndrome claims he was kicked off a Greyhound bus in Indianapolis because of his disability.
I got on the bus and they made an announcement about my Tourette syndrome. And earlier in line, a lady had heard me saying some inappropriate words. And she stood up and she said, well, how come he can say this word?
With that, this Clayton High Jr., who turns 17 tomorrow, says he was kicked off the bus in Indianapolis.
So your tick was actually to say the N word, right?
Yeah, at different times I was saying what would be the worst thing that I could possibly say in a given moment. So,
Yeah.
if I was around a fat person, I would want to tick you're fat. If I was around a black person, I would want to tick the N word.
So at the time,
it was a nightmare.
At the time, you were on a bus, and with it seems like from this image, predominantly black, and then you said the N word on the bus.
Yeah, to make a long story short, I had told the bus driver about my Tourette's before I got on, and then I got on the bus. Then I was taking it more, and obviously customers were complaining, and rightfully so. I mean, they had no idea what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bus driver, as I've gotten older, I actually thought the company dealt with it as well as they could. I mean, it's just a difficult situation. I mean, just because it's a medical disorder, although I don't see it the same way now, but of course at the time, what do you do? It's just not, I don't think it's as simple as, oh, well, this person has a disability. They just have, can do whatever they want, carte blanche. Like, it's a very difficult thing because I'm also saying something that's offending people. Luckily, nothing bad happened. I was safe. It could have escalated and gotten very bad.
So you went, okay, so let me keep watching. So you're on a bus and you said the N word and then people got mad at you, right? So that's the kind of and then the bus driver kicked you off. Yeah. So let me keep watching.
And ultimately, after a few,
Elliot says he was on his way home from a church youth camp when the incident happened. Elliot and his family say they've traveled all over the country and never been denied access to transportation. His family calls it a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Up to that point.
I appreciate that you guys all made it into kind of turned it into like a crusade here and went to the local news about it and stuff because it's, I have a theory for you.
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. I think you actually fake having Tourette's. Yeah, I think you actually don't have it.
Well, but I'm open to.
Here's my.
What did you think I had?
Well, let me just break it down. I think this is kind of a funny thing. I doubt this is what happened, but maybe you just called someone the N-word on the bus, and then you're like, oh no, I have Tourette's. Because what's interesting to me, and I know that's funny, but what's interesting to me is that you've made like a whole career being a motivational speaker about how you cured your Tourette's and stuff, and that's kind of become like a big part of your identity. But what's interesting is, as somebody with Tourette's, I actually have Tourette's. I know it's not curable, so I just find that claim to be absolutely a pseudoscientific, crazy claim that has no backing in science or at all. And I think you're actually, in my opinion, right, as someone with Tourette's, I think you're scamming people.
Well, first off, did you say that you have Tourette's?
I do have Tourette's.
I didn't know
that crazy. Yeah, I know. That's why I was so surprised when you emailed me because I was like, I have Tourette's and I also fucking hate Andrew Tate. I've like talked like continually and openly, relentlessly about what a piece of shit he is and how much I hate him. And what's interesting too, Mark, is that I've also talked about how much I hate Keith and NXIVM and what a psycho he is. So when I got your email, I was like, this is incredible. And I could totally see how it is you fell into a cult because you clearly don't do any research.
When I saw when I was watching one of your videos, I thought I saw you ticking. And so it did cross my mind. I said, I wonder if he has Tourette's.
Yeah, I do.
Why would you? That's so interesting. Why would you think someone would fake it? That's a pretty messed up thing for someone to fake.
No, I agree, but you've made a good living from faking it, doing like motivational stuff and writing books and stuff like that. And it's just, as far as I know, and that's just a theory, right? Because I don't know. I mean, I just have Tourette's myself, but obviously I don't know anything about you. So it's just a theory. But I just think that you can't cure it, actually. And on your website, it says you overcame it, mind over body. And that's just not possible.
But that's why, I don't know if you remember what I just said 2 minutes ago, is that we've never claimed it's a cure.
Right. Well, let's see. On if we pull up your website, well, when I started, you said you're 100% like over Tourette's, right? You did say that.
Yeah, well, I said that I don't think of it as I have Tourette's anymore.
Right. You don't have it anymore.
I guess what I could say is, yeah, the fact that you don't like Tate and you don't like Raniere is not a reason that I couldn't talk to someone. If anything, it's about, that's not the point of trying to find people that love him. It's if you can find people, even if somebody hates someone, the question is, do we believe that there should be due process in this country? And are we okay with government officials or FBI agents committing crimes to convict a man? So by somebody not liking it.
Yeah. But in the email.
By someone.
Yeah.
But somebody not liking him is, if anything, is definitely better. I definitely did not research deeply every single person. Obviously,
at all. Well, yeah, you didn't look. You actually didn't look into it at all. Like the most basic. But let me break it down, Mark, because in a way, I see you as.
Well, just to be very.
Okay, go ahead.
Just to be very blunt.
Go ahead. Yeah, be blunt.
Yeah, you are right. I did not do research.
Yeah.
Someone that I know, who's Keith. Currently, he's been sitting in the SHU for over 200 days. So they're basically torturing a U.S. citizen, while at the same time he has filed in the Eastern District of New York with 4 former FBI agents showing that the FBI tampered with digital evidence. And they're now escalating the torture, and they might ship him to what's known as a CMU.
Can I read an excerpt
which is a communications.
Can I read an excerpt for you? It says, this is from your website. This is your website, right? MarcElliott.com.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you want to beat your Tourette's? I want to help you, but currently the government has threatened to put me in jail for being public about how I completely overcame my Tourette's with NXIVM.
Yep.
So when you say completely overcame, I just assumed that meant like that you have a cure for it.
Yeah, I can address that in a second. We can talk about that. But the point is that,
can you cure like bipolar or something? Can you cure like schizophrenia? Because that would be really good for a lot of people.
The reason, so because of how big the case is, and I'm reaching out to people that have influence. I believe that even though you might hate those people, and I didn't know the depth of how much you dislike them, but okay. No.
Yeah.
Is that there's something that we can agree upon, I thought. At least
here's
that,
something,
are we okay?
Well, we can all agree on we can all agree on photos. Here's photos of his initials being branded into women who accused him of running a clandestine sex cult. Here is his initials branded into their skin. Here's an up close for you. It says his initial, Keith Raniere, is branded into their skin.
What's your point? That's not what I'm here to talk to you about.
Oh, my point? That
The
well,
thing is, the
no,
thing, the point
right,
is,
right.
but,
No, that was just for
but
fun.
bringing
That
up,
was just like a funsies
bring,
thing.
yeah, but the
It was
thing
just
is,
like a fun
look,
little
I'm,
group building exercise. No, I'm
the thing is,
serious.
I
No,
came on,
I'm serious. Why did he do this? Because if I'm curious, I want to
but
ask you,
the
why
thing
did
is,
he do it?
if you're gonna say things, they need to be
They're just
factual.
kinky. They're
Keith
just a little
Raniere,
kinky.
but Keith Raniere didn't brand anyone.
Oh, right.
He's not even in the
He
room.
coerced people to do
He's
it.
not.
Yeah, so coercion's
But
a
he's
crime,
not.
actually. I think coercion is a crime. Sex trafficking usually happens through coercion, not by locking people to a radiator. So that, I think, is where we kind of disconnect there. And actually, what's crazy is the jury agreed with me. 12 people agreed.
I had told you before. I know I had told you
What?
before
Oh,
that
and the appeal
blackmail is a
court.
crime.
Oh, what's crazy is he appealed, and then the appeals court also upheld these 7 horrific charges against him. So that's like a lot of people.
I wasn't here.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Like I had said, I had said to you in the very beginning is that I believe most of the things are not true out there. That doesn't mean there isn't kernels of truth. I wanted to talk to you about something that I think is greater than Keith Raniere, the fact that we have evidence that shows that the FBI committed crimes.
Yeah, but the FBI I agree with you that the FBI is shitty and they do that kind of stuff. But even if we discount everything the FBI allegedly, or you say let's just assume for the sake of this conversation that they did do that, then you still have to explain all these other charges. Like even if he didn't have child pornography on a hard drive, right? And let's just say he didn't do it, it was a conspiracy. Or maybe they changed the metadata. There's still racketeering, forced labor, wire fraud, sex trafficking, extortion. So do you have you know what I mean? So there's kind of an issue here. If you're
well, we've been the thing is, look, I this is the first time we've ever met Ethan.
Yeah.
I said to you in the email that if you want to have more of an open, rational conversation where we can challenge things. In the first half of this, I talked to you about some of the facts that it sounded like you were agreeing with. I didn't realize that you were just trying to play me. The things that I said, I stand by. I don't need to change anything, even though now I know that I guess you were trying to have sort of a gotcha moment. But like I said, with the photos, with the woman, the HBO thing, the sex trafficking, which is a single sex act with no money exchange, these are things that if someone wants to have a conversation.
Right, but you got to understand that no money exchanged and him not doing it himself is kind of the quintessential of a cultish kind of racketeering, like manipulative, coercive act. Like he's not the first person, right? Like Charles Manson, for example. Is Charles Manson guilty of murder? Well, answer that. Is Charles Manson guilty of murder? He never did anything.
I don't know. I don't.
Okay, I'll explain it to you. I'll explain it to you. Charles Manson, people say he was a member of a cult. His disciples went under his order or coercion to go and murder this family, right? And so his lawyer said, well, he didn't do anything. He wasn't even there. And so the question is, do you think Charles Manson is guilty? He was in jail right now for being involved in their murders, even though he wasn't there. He never held a knife in his hand. You know what I mean? And no money was exchanged. He didn't even pay them to do it.
I have.
Oh, he's dead. That's a correction. Let me issue a factual correction.
No, but this is what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about the case. Obviously, I know of Charles Manson because of of how it's been. He's a very popularized name.
He's probably innocent too, right?
Well, I don't know, but what I do believe and what I'm absolutely will stand by is that I do think no matter how hated a person is, we should be absolutely open to questioning narratives. We should be able to question.
I think
witnesses. We should be able.
I think part of a redemption of accepting people who are bad starts with them, coming to terms with what they've done.
But that's what I said from the get-go. I said, I'm not on here to try to get you to like Keith Raniere. But I don't know if you remember, I did say to you, you can think he's the devil.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think he's the devil.
Do you remember when I said that? No, but my point is, if someone wants to believe that.
So you're saying we need to
That's not what I'm.
You're saying we need to take the time to look at the kind of the facts and the situations and come to just with our whole hearts and minds, come to a rational decision.
Well, my question to you is,
That's a
Do you
trial.
believe that there are? Do
That's
you
a
believe
trial,
that
by
there
the
are
way. He lost 2 of them.
No, but do you believe that it is okay under any circumstance for the government or government officials, whether it's a prosecutor, whether it's a judge, whether it's an FBI agent, to commit a crime to convict
Of course
a person?
not. No, never. Dude.
If we
hell
agree
no.
on that, Ethan,
Yeah.
if you and I can agree on that,
Yeah.
that's all that matters. And that's why I'm
Really?
here. I don't care.
That doesn't seem very
because-
significant. Like, I mean, we can both agree that Krispy
Well,
Kreme donuts are great, taste great, but that doesn't
Why
fucking
do you-
really
why
have
do you
any.
think- why do
and
you
that
think
doesn't have
that's-
nothing to
why
do
do
with
you
like
think that's
wire fraud and racketeering.
Why do you believe that that's not significant?
Because it doesn't affect all the other unrelated crimes he was convicted of.
But no, but I think that the part where we're just missing is that
Sure.
you keep making it about this case. What I'm saying is what I'm addressing affects every single case in the United
this is
States.
bigger than Keith.
Yeah, Keith is not bigger than the justice system. If you allow or you are okay permitting government officials to commit crimes, to convict even a hated person, what you ultimately are saying is that you believe that prejudice and hate are more important than justice.
Here's you and Keith. He has really nice skin. Fuck.
The thing is, I'm trying to have
No, me
trying
too.
to have a serious conversation
No,
with
I was
you.
just struck by his
And-
really nice skin. Did he ever drop?
I'm just saying, I'm just saying out of respect, I'm trying to have a conversation with you about something that affects millions of people around the justice, millions of people in the justice system and are affected by our justice system. This isn't about Keith. It is about Keith because this is the specific case and the specific evidence that we have. Do you mind if I take a moment and read some of the quotes from the FBI agents?
No, I don't want to do that. Let me ask you this. I don't even blame you because honestly, in a sense, you're kind of the victim of you know what I mean? Like you're part of this organization that clearly has some powerful hold over you. And I'm really sorry that you got somehow you're involved in this. And I just like Keith is gone. He can't hurt you anymore. You know what I mean? Like you're free, bro.
I appreciate the I do believe that I'm free. I'm an adult that makes decisions in my
Just
own
like
life.
that girl in the
there's
room. You're free, man. Just walk through the door.
What I can say again is I reached out to you. I'm trying to talk about things that there's a lot of prejudice against talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You have a case that has international attention, that has a lot of hate and a lot of prejudice. And now we have
we're kind of, you've said that. It's okay. Listen, I really do wish the best for you. And I'm sorry that you're dealing with all this stuff. It seems like you're going through a lot. And I just, I'm sorry, man. I don't know if there's anything, do they have photos of you? Like they must have, because that was their thing, right? Keith had like blackmail
There's
photos.
no photos. I just, for anyone who's listening that wants to find out more, they can go to makejusticeblind.com and they can look at the evidence with respect to the FBI and what I've been talking about here.
This is the video, right? Evidence of historic FBI corruption. This is the one you're talking about?
Could we at least watch it?
One of the guys is Alan Dershowitz. He represented, he's Epstein's lawyer.
Could we play it from the beginning? It's only 2 minutes.
You know what? I'll do that for you. We've been through a lot together.
Awesome.
I'll play you the Dersh.
Well, no. I'm saying, can you play it from the beginning, which is the experts, which is actually what's most important.
Well, he is in this video, so I'm assuming he's an expert.
But he's under the section of advocates in the beginning of the 2-minute video. There's the whole section on experts. It's only 2 minutes. I'd be grateful if you play that at least.
He's an advocate. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
If this alleged FBI malfeasance turns out to be true, as our experts say it is, then this is really historic. This is really an attempt to frame somebody based on manipulation of data. That's just unacceptable in an American court and in the American legal system.
I'm the former United.
He's the man, bro. Alan Dersh.
But the thing is there a reason you can't play it from the beginning? It's only a minute.
I'm afraid that it's compelling, frankly. I don't want. No, I will play it. I'll play it. So these people. So these are
we just asked,
these are all former FBI people. Okay, I'm gonna play
some
it.
of them are former.
I owe
That's
that
awesome.
to you. I
Some
owe that
of
to
them
you.
are
Yeah, I owe that to you. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it.
awesome.
Experts versus Keith.
I worked in the FBI for about 10 years. It is clear that the photos in this case were planted there.
This is the most serious.
How did they get the photos to examine? Because there's apparently child pornography on the photos. It seems kind of like a hot potato. And
Let's just
very,
finish.
and I hesitate to call pictures of child pornography a hot potato. You know what I mean?
They're not looking at. No one's looking at pictures of child porn. They're looking
The
at
metadata.
the files, the
Okay,
file data.
right, the metadata. Okay, got it.
Tampering with evidence that I've ever seen.
It's inescapable that the FBI proactively created fake evidence.
Data changed while I was in FBI custody. It was modified. It was altered.
And 25 years of digital forensic investigations, 5 of which was with the FBI.
Zach, can you turn it down?
The amount of technical ability and premeditation to perform this fraud in the case against Mr. Ranieri, I've never seen anything like that.
In my 20 years experience with the FBI, I have never seen data manipulation, evidence tampering, anything like this on this scale.
When I first read the papers that Mr. Ranieri presented on tampering, I was shocked.
I've never seen an instance where the system threw away its credibility purely for the purpose of convicting a defendant.
If it could happen to a person who is educated, who is white, who has the complexion for acceptance, as I would say, none of us are safe.
There's no need to fabricate evidence for a guilty man. The fact that they fabricated evidence here, and to the degree that they did, shocks the conscience.
If this alleged FBI malfeasance turns out to be true, as our experts say it is, then this is really historic. This is really an attempt to frame somebody based on manipulation of data. That's just unacceptable in an American court and in the American legal system.
I'm the former United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Arkansas. In the face of this alarming evidence, there's really no excuse for the court or for the prosecutor to hide behind procedural delays in waiting to get to the bottom of this. They should take immediate action, and if they can't or they won't, the United States Attorney General should appoint an independent prosecutor. If an independent investigation determines that this tampering occurred, there must be accountability. People have to be criminally prosecuted. This is very serious.
Okay. Shortly after Mr. Ranieri's legal team first exposed this corruption, the government retaliated.
Yeah, I mean, what I know that you were playing the music, which was unfortunate, and making the jokes. You know, these are people, whether or not, again, whether you hate Keith Raniere or whatever you think about NXIVM, you know, these are very people that have served our country. Those are 4 FBI agents, other distinguished experts. There's also a former U.S. prosecutor. You know, again, if you don't want to hear that,
I do.
agree,
you know what?
Okay.
Here's what I just want to. I'm going to give you the. Here's what I want to do. Here's what I want to do. Wait, I'm serious. I want to give you the platform. I'm just going to step away because, listen, obviously we've been doing some goofs here, and I feel I owe it to you. I'm going to step away. I'm going to sit right here and listen, but I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm just going to let you say your thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All I'll say is, first, thank you again for you know, allowing me to come on. I didn't appreciate sort of the way it went, but even with that, what I'm talking about today and the video that you saw with these experts, these are serious things that we're talking about. I think that's.
What's wrong? What happened?
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Do you want to give a closing statement or anything?
No, I think that they're just putting things on the screen.
Oh, it's just, no, that helps people's attention span because it's a little boring. So it's a little dense. So sometimes you put Kinetic Sand or Subway Surfer, it makes it easier to listen.
Gotcha. Thank you for having me on today.
Did you see this photo of you guys, of the 3 amigos? Did you? I'm with you, by the way. ACAB, brother. For my voice. You don't know how to turn off Zoom. You're trying, but you can't get away. How do you get out of this? You're trapped.
No, there's no trouble. Well, again, nice to meet you, Ethan. And
yeah,
thanks for having me on
I'm
today.
I'm sorry to put you all through that. Ultimately, you are the victim, and I hope Ramirez dies in prison. I really do. I really do. But one day you're going to be free of this, and I'll be there to help you. I'm so sorry. This is Keith's fault that you went through this. It really is, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. All right, take care.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you. Oh God.
He hung up.
Yeah, I know. I actually feel bad for him at the end there.
Yeah.
But to be
it's
fair,
extremely embarrassing.
But to be completely fair, this man walked into like a comet-sized chasm of a death trap. You can turn back on chat.
All right, I'll turn it back on.
Like, when I got this email from him that I read you guys, I was like, is this guy for real? And so I passed it to Dan to set it up. And sure enough, this guy thought I was an Andrew Tate defender who loves fucking Keith Ramirez. And also, he didn't know I have Tourette's syndrome, which put me in kind of a unique position to talk to him about Tourette's. And that was a very stressful situation. I didn't see him ticking once. Just saying.
Must be effective.
I'm sorry. I honestly feel bad. I do feel bad. That man is crushed. But you know what? At the end of the day, definitely do a tiny bit of research for calling into one of the biggest podcasts in the world to do a live show about one of the most hated men in the world.
I will say, I really admire your ability to continue to be confrontational throughout an entire exchange. Like, at some point, I was like, "Oh man, like, is he gonna like loosen up a bit?" And you,
no,
you
'Cause I
didn't.
was
And
never-
I mean, I
Yeah.
stand by what you did.
could-
I love that.
I could not let him spread propaganda unchecked.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if his Tourette's was cured, it's definitely coming back after this interview.
You'd be screaming the N-word all night.
Oh my God. That was like as crazy as I hoped that could have been.
That was clean.
Yeah, I really wasn't sure what direction it was going to go. I mean, we were talking about it before the show, but I still was unsure if he was
I'm blown away.
Being sarcastic in his email because it was just so wrong about every aspect of you.
Right.
That it almost seemed like sarcasm. So I thought he was going to come out of the gate aggressive, but no, he seemed to just not actually research anything at all. Like even just a Google search.
Bro.
He didn't even know you had Tourette's.
Yes, I know. He didn't even, but like, if you search my name, it's probably like all highlights of me talking shit on Andrew Tate. And I've done so much content about NXIVM.
That too.
Oh. Holy fuck, dude. I don't think I've ever seen someone get cooked like that in my whole life.
That was
You know what you
flawless
did?
victory right there.
I had to walk away so you can.
Yeah,
hear
I
me
walked
laugh.
away for a sec.
There one point when I was reading out every 20 charges, I was like, this is so absurd. And it took him a long time, and he was hesitant to accept the fact that I was goofing.
You ate him up, and you
Left no crumbs.
There you go. He's
Yeah.
learning. He's learning.
Clearly, he sees the best in people. So
yes,
maybe that's why he had.
I mean, I'm glad you said what you said about him being a victim in a way because, I mean,
that's it. I felt
pretty
really bad for him.
classic Stockholm syndrome kind of thing.
In
going
30
on here.
years from now, you're gonna get emails saying, "Dude, I fucked up. I'm sorry about that."
I'll be
appearance,
there with
man."
open arms.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm waiting for him.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us.
We even got the Subway Surfer on him, dude. And the Nook. I mean, that was something else, man.
When he saw the Manson photo, my heart dropped a little bit. He made a very sad face when he saw that.
Well, I don't think he.
Three amigos.
He said he didn't know anything about Charles Manson.
Well, he's lying.
He knew something when he saw that fucking photo.
he knows about Charles Manson.
Right.
Everybody does. enough. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He does have beautiful skin, though, Keith. I was like, whoa. He must use like, what's that serum that's really popular?
Adrenochrome?
No, not that one. Whatever. He must use the ordinary.
That's what I was gonna say, and then I was like, mm-mm.
Well, they have a great product. Doesn't matter.
They do. Wonderful hyaluronic acid.
You know, fuck me, dude.
You know, this guy, it seems like he seems very nice and well, pretty well spoken, articulate, and
His heart seems good.
yeah, and he's a good looking guy and everything. It's just, that's what I mean. It's just like a little sad. It's just why do you feel the need to die on this hill? Like, can't you, even if you think that Keith is innocent, like making that your thing to like campaign for like
he's in a cult.
convicted sex. That's why I thought it was interesting you asked him about the photos, and maybe he doesn't have any blackmail over him. But
So NXIVM is well known for holding dirt or blackmail
yeah, it's
over
just like
someone to make
Scientology.
sure they stay in line.
Right.
And he's in a cult. I mean, it's the same way Scientologists will like follow people with cameras and fucking abuse them relentless. They're convinced they're right, and it's the whole world that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks, man.
Well, when you have titans like Alan Dershowitz on your side, you know you're
Dubs all around. The Dersh, baby.
I can't believe he's in that video. My jaw dropped.
Of course he is. That man's willing to defend goddamn Adolf Hitler.
He has
Save us
never
all.
seen a pedophile that he wouldn't defend.
Right.
Alan Dershowitz.
And I mean, it's just so much stacked against Keith. He has 120 years. And I'm like, he seems to be singularly focused on the FBI tampering. So I says, okay, let's even give you that. I mean, still, this man is a prolific criminal, even without that. And then
Well,
he says,
seems to think it's all. If I was understanding him correctly, it seemed like if you take out this one piece, this one photo of a 15-year-old girl, the whole thing collapses. Which, like,
it's just not.
I didn't follow the case super closely, but when I was researching, I researched quite a bit over the weekend to just familiarize myself with everything, and at least from my understanding of it, the whole metadata aspect is not the smoking gun that got him convicted. So even if you remove that, if they got a retrial and they removed that, I'm pretty certain they would still be able to find a second conviction.
well, they had 15 victim statements. This girl who was in the photos, Camille, who says that he took her virginity when she was 15, who was in those photos, said it was him.
Right. Yeah.
Or at least I think so. I mean, I can read this.
Well, there's more too. There's a bunch.
I don't
of
know
text
if he said it
messages
was him
between
or
them.
not. I know he's going to try to sue me if anything a little thing.
Wait, said it was who?
Camille was the girl who was in the photos, the child P word.
Right, yes, yeah,
And
right.
she gave a victim impact
statement
statement
after
that
the
says,
trial, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, according to her, she was groomed from like age 12, and Keith Raniere took her virginity when she was underage. So,
And he seems to think that like the fact that he coerced people and never actually carried out the crime himself somehow means he's innocent, which is like really wild. 'Cause he's a cult leader.
Yeah, that also seems to be a lot of
That's what
human
racketeering is,
traffickers. Yeah,
essentially.
it's a lot of excuses in the Andrew
Racketeer-
Tate situation.
I mean, racketeering is literally that. They invented that so they could prosecute mob bosses because they never actually committed the crimes.
Right.
That's what racketeering literally is. I feel bad for him though, man. If you ever want to talk again, bro, I'm here for you. I'm not even joking.
Mhm.
I'm here for you, man. Genuinely, if you want to turn a new leaf,
It's not your fault.
it is not. That's so on point. It's not your
It's
fault.
not your fault.
I'm genuinely here for you, bro. Because, like, people, I feel bad. As people say, when you kill someone for the first time, it really sticks with you. And they're right.
it's not your fault. This wasn't your first murder victim.
Yeah, I know. I'm just making a joke. Thank you. And then, what was your take on the Tourette's thing? Because my thing with his Tourette's is like, he's made a whole career out of being a motivational speaker because he overcame Tourette's. And obviously he didn't know Tourette's. So I was like, this is fucking incredible because nobody else is going to be able to accuse him of this shit. And when
I don't think anyone else would. It's such a Larry David. You had a real Larry David moment with that.
But it is suspect. Like
I see. I don't have Tourette's, so I don't feel comfortable saying that. I mean, I think
very
it's certainly plausible, or I don't think it's a stretch to say that he had it. And like we were talking about before the show, NXIVM, they have like their therapy was like these like 7 pseudosciences, and then also cognitive behavioral therapy was a part of it too, and that can like help reduce tics.
It helps you manage and control them.
Which it sounded like that's what he was.
No, he
describing.
says no. He said he started backpedaling when he realized I had Tourette's.
Right.
But on his website, and when he first came on, he says I have totally conquered my Tourette's.
Right.
That's not possible, and especially if he was walking around saying the N-word, that's like super, super, super severe Tourette's. So. The fact that he went from like fully blown, like worst case scenario Tourette's to like, I'm gonna sit here for an hour and not have one visible tick is really fucking
in a very stressful
insane
situation too, by the way.
Why does it lie?
At least for the second half.
But I mean,
I don't know.
to me, it's like saying, oh yeah, I can cure bipolar disease, schizophrenia, OCD. Just come talk to Keith Raniere's. He'll take care of it. Like that's just not real. Then he backed up. He said, I'm 4 out of 100 Tourette's.
Right, which that makes more sense.
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
you're saying that it was only because you called him out. I mean,
He definitely backpedaled when I told him I had Tourette's.
All right. I mean,
because he knows he can't say if he's selling some kind of course or inspirational. He can't say I cured Tourette's. So
right,
he
so
was
just doesn't
tiptoeing
use the
around
word cure.
fraud, being fraudulent.
Yeah. I don't
Well, as somebody with 35% Tourette's, let me tell you this. I know what I'm talking.
You'd say yours is 35 out of 100? Is that
Yeah,
what yours is
35
at?
out of 100. Use that 4.
5% means everything.
I feel bad for him though. That was a lot.
I bet Keith's on the phone with him right now, chewing him up way worse than you are.
I don't think Keith has access to a phone.
Oh, you don't?
Keith is about to release the photo of that guy like having a pineapple up his ass or something. That's
So now that we have it confirmed that he wasn't coming in here, trying to argue with you or whatever, and he really did think that you would be sympathetic to his plight, was he just mass emailing like every podcast in existence, and we were just happened to be the only one that took notice? And
it could be he was copy pasting. He said, "Hi, dear H3." Oh yeah, because dude, okay. Can you say he addressed this email to Dear H3 Podcast Highlights?
Oh, I caught that. That's right.
He
forgot about that.
emailed me Dear H3 Podcast Highlights, and I was about to erase it because I was like, "This is a bot or some fucking Indian farmer who's trying to."
Why the hell?
But
did
then
you
I was like,
open?
"Oh shit!" I was like, "Oh shit." My name is Marc Elliott. I'm an award-winning speaker who lived with Tourette's for 20 years, and I beat it completely. So already I'm perking up like, oh, what the fuck? And then I was part of the now infamous NXIVM. I was like, what?
Yeah,
and then he goes, I recently saw your coverage of poking holes in Andrew Tate narrative.
Yeah, that's really the part. Because up until that point, it could be like, oh, you were in the NXIVM call and you want to like talk about your experience and stuff?
Well,
then,
when he
like it's the Andrew Tate
when he
line where
said
it
he
starts to
beat
go off the rails a little bit.
No, it was when he said he beat Tourette's. That's when he went off the rails for me. I was like, yo, this guy's wild.
Somebody in the chat just said he was on Theo Vaughn's podcast once.
No fucking shot.
I'm watching that right now.
Talking about
actually.
what?
He talks about his Tourette's at one point. The part I'm watching.
So this is what I'm saying. This guy's built a whole career. He's on tour telling people they can cure their Tourette's if they stop being pussies about it.
Right, which again would have made sense if he knew that you had Tourette's and was specifically reaching out to you.
No,
you're a famous
yeah.
influencer that has it, but it wasn't even that either. It's
Dear
like,
H3 Podcast Highlights. Let me send you an image of this because I think it's worth seeing. Yeah, that thumbnail's good, Cam. Obviously, I didn't want to title it because I didn't want to give the game away, and that's why I disabled chat too and made a very cryptic title because I really wanted this to land, and
Yeah,
it did.
the name of Theo's episode is "The Man Who Overcame Tourette's."
See, now to me, that's insanely fucking offensive. You don't overcome Tourette's, and the implication is that everyone else is weak, that everyone else is just being a giant pussy who hasn't been enlightened yet. You don't. It's not something you overcome. It's something you live with and you learn to live with. It's crazy. You can't. It's just fucked up to put that into the world. Like, oh yeah, did you get your Tourette's cured yet? Like people that watch that, it's crazy. By the way, let me send you this. I just want to show you, so you can pull it up because this email is pretty iconic. And he was emailing you quite a lot, right, Dan? So he had a lot of opportunities to look into the show.
This all started like over 2 weeks ago, and so again, if I ever found myself in a position where I was being invited on a podcast, I don't know why that would ever happen. But if I did, I would probably at least Google once.
Well, but he emailed you like 30 times.
That's what I'm saying. Is like there was plenty of time, and there was back and forth and stuff as we tried to land on a date to do this, and I don't know.
Can you pull an excerpt?
Next time, do a little bit of research.
Just a little. But that's what I said. I understand how you fell into this cult. I mean, you have zero critical thinking abilities.
At no point, and there was quite a bit of back and forth, but it was very formal and brief, just about the logistics. I didn't go out of my way to try and mislead him that we were going to somehow be.
We didn't say anything.
It's very just like, hi, nice to meet you. What dates would work for you? Just
I did the same. I didn't want to be guilty of misleading him or entrapping him. He emailed me. I responded with simply, I forwarded it to Dan. I don't think I said, hi, Mark, would you be interested in calling into our show? That's all I said. He said, hi, H3, thanks for getting back to me. I'd love to. When were you thinking? Then I tagged Dan. I said, I'll have my producer, Dan, email you. So like there was no...
Yeah, and the rest of it is just like technical stuff.
We handled that like very professionally. Can you show that email? I want to show how you addressed it to...
Here, I'll just screenshot. I guess it doesn't show any. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, here. This is the email I got. He addressed me as Dear H3 Podcast Highlights. So...
Very odd.
Yeah, he's just... I don't know, man. Like, do you see how, in a way, if you're really impressed by Keith, you should be really impressed what I just did. So,
well, you haven't cured any neurological disorders or anything, so.
Well, a stupid neurological disorder. I think he just got a pretty strong dose in how not to be stupid. I don't know.
Healed me from poverty.
Do you find any good excerpts from the Theo Von? Because I'm sure he's out there being like, yeah, I cured this shit. Everyone else is a giant lame-o.
Also, just real quick, I want to give a little bit of a shout out to somebody on Reddit known as Incorruptible BK, who runs the NXIVM case subreddit. You were a massive help in researching this weekend. You've really stayed on top of this whole case and tracked it. I found a lot of fantastic information on there. And I see...
Are they buzzing?
I see 55 minutes ago that Incorruptible BK posted a link to our episode on that subreddit. It said, maybe too late to catch it live, but Ethan Klein brought Mark Elliott on his podcast and is just absolutely toying with him. So shout out to Incorruptible BK for your assistance.
I feel bad for him, though, honestly, at the end of the day. He was very... Even in the face of, like... being called out, he was very mild-mannered. I don't know.
That's what I was saying. It's just, it's sad that he, like, this dude could probably, make something of himself in something that isn't defending a convicted child predator.
Well, anyway.
Branch out.
If you're
Branch out a little bit.
If you're out there watching, Mark, I'm here for you, buddy. I'll adopt you like Aiden Ross.
That's sweet.
I already have 2 kids, but fuck it.
What do you think? I won't
Aiden
say.
can have a brother.
I won't say their name to call them out, but what do you think of this comment in the chat that we were bullying him and it was really hard to watch?
We were bullying him. There's no question about it. That's why I feel bad.
Bullying me.
But at a certain point, this man, he's so special because I can bully him. Like, he's worthy of being bullied.
I mean,
for how dumb it was to approach me, he's literally part of a sex cult. He's defending a pedophile rapist.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point where the sympathy kind of disappeared for me is when he wouldn't outright say it, but heavily implying that the child R-word victim was just making it up and lying.
I would say that's worse than bullying.
Yeah, that's pretty scummy.
This girl who was brave enough to come out, who's
Kind of
been
worth
brainwashed from
bullying
the
them.
age of 12. This
Yeah.
man, he all but said she's lying.
Yeah,
And
he
then there's
didn't want to fully say that, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, read between the
There's
lines.
15 other victims
They're all making it up.
and he goes, well, they're not under oath. It's basically like a random tweet.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, good thing. Yeah, they don't even know each other. There's like, they weren't even like known associates.
Is that the girl he said was just kinky too?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a psycho.
He was kinky. They were just kinky.
That was embarrassing.
Yikes. Featured
Oh
in
shit.
the vow?
No. Yeah, so this is how unaware he was, man. Look at this. He tweeted this shit out. Going live shortly on HG Podcast to discuss FBI tampering in U.S. versus Ranieri and beating Tourette's. Again, he says in his tweet he beat Tourette's. What does that mean? You don't beat Tourette's. It's not cancer. You can beat cancer. You don't have cancer anymore. Tourette's is not like that. You think, did he erase the tweet yet, or is it still up?
He probably erased it.
Maybe we shook him hard enough he's going to quit. He's going to, wake up and smell.
still up.
He's going to wake up.
Maybe he just has the attitude that, you
still
know
up?
what, there's 40,000 people watching this live right now. At least one of them is going to sign up for NXIVM at the end of this.
I think he's
We
going to
can make one conversion.
I think he's going to wake up and smell the vinyl chloride.
Right.
Such a crazy day yesterday, huh? With the NXIVM guy. Actually got an email from his brother now. We were wondering how they were going to respond. And Dan was saying he thought that, what was his name? Fuck, I don't even, James? Marc. I didn't remember his name. He's crying right now, seeing that I don't even remember his name. Dan thought he was going to mass email him because he had emailed Dan a bunch of times leading up to it. And he was super excited. So now after this happened, we were wondering if we'd hear from them. Dan hasn't heard from him, but his brother emailed me, and straight to my personal email too. Not even to my work email. So apparently his brother is capable of a little more research than him. He emailed me begging me on the note of human decency. He says, my deep and earnest request that you resend your comments. That he's a scam artist. Because his brother vouches for him. He says, I know he's a good dude. He insists he has Tourette's, so maybe he. I don't know. I just know that whatever's going on with his Tourette's, there's some deception there, in my opinion. In my opinion. Also, his brother seems to be potentially, again, in my opinion, based on this email, a member of NXIVM as well. Tell me what you think about this, Ela. I'm going to read it. First of all, it's like a whole it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 paragraphs. So this is like probably a full on, let me do a word count on this. In college, what was a good little Good little paper, like 500, 1,200 words, something like that. It's like just a nice little write-up. He sent me 781 words. That's a respectable write-up. So listen to this paragraph, Hila. I want your take on this. Hila's super into this NXIVM stuff too. Of course, he starts the email by saying, "Hi, I'm Mark. I'm Mark's older brother. I caught the second half of your interview with him yesterday." So you didn't even watch the whole thing? You didn't watch the whole thing? You spent more time writing me this goddamn email than you did. Just at least watch the whole thing if you're going to write 14 pages. I don't really know. I think in a way trying to signal that he can't be fucked. And then he continues, he says, "I'll save my opinion about the interview for a later time." No. What do you mean a later time, bro? How many times do you expect to talk to me? "I'll save my opinion about the interview for our sequences of conversations down the road as our long, fruitful relationship blossoms." He says, "I'm writing because I've seen Mark go through many challenges. However, never have I seen him publicly called a scam artist on a widely watched platform. Not only is it dishonorable..." Bro, what am I, a samurai? "Dishonorable is plainly false," he says. That's the problem, right? That's kind of what the problem was, is this guy's never been called out. "That is dishonorable." Sure. I didn't even read the part about, I think he's an NXIVM, but go ahead.
So my thoughts about watching yesterday is, first of all, when you called him out on that, he did not like really argue it. Like, I feel like if I was actually sick, or if I actually had Tourette's and someone had the audacity to tell me like you're faking it, I would be like, "Are you crazy?" Like, I would have so much energy about like, hell no, this is real. I felt it. I grew up with it. And like, he didn't. It almost seemed like he was like, "Well, yeah, you kind of caught me."
He didn't even try to engage with it. In fact, it seemed like he tried to move past it quickly.
And then also the other thing is like, if that's really like,
oh, they're saying you're quiet.
Oh, like you showed on the website is like, "Do you want to cure your Tourette's, or are you tired of having it?" What was the sentence on his website?
I don't remember, but it was something like
a question.
Completely, you get, that's the gist of it.
So he's totally like made a career of this.
Oh yeah.
And if you actually did that, like, wouldn't you have a few success stories of like other people that happened to them?
So he made a documentary in collaboration with NXIVM. It's actually on YouTube, so I was considering watching it, where he takes a few people with severe Tourette's and cures them through NXIVM's. I mean, here, let me read you this paragraph. He says, "Finally, I witnessed Mark overcome his Tourette's. I saw his severe tics make a precipitous drop after taking a NXIVM training and working with the organization's leadership on his disorder." It's like, dude, you're riding their dick kind of hard there.
I saw his doctor's disbelief. Can I see that? Like, wouldn't it be such a big story if there was a doctor
Oh, yeah, that's so
completely in
stupid.
shock? Oh my God, NXIVM cured Tourette's.
Well, so he goes on. He says, "I saw him miraculously, precipitously drop after taking a NXIVM," and he capitalized every letter. He's putting respect on their name. "Training and working with the organization's leadership, our dear leader. I saw him do more work over the ensuing months to overcome his remaining tics, and I saw his doctor's disbelief in his accomplishments of becoming a tic-free without formal treatment." His doctor, a neurologist, I'm assuming, who specializes in stuff like this, Tourette's and such, is like, "Oh, you fixed it." He's not like, "Yo, let me check this shit out. I'm a doctor. I want to..." He's fixed. So I saw his doctor's disbelief. I also watched him find 10 other people with severe Tourette's who wanted to try to replicate his results. I saw firsthand nearly all of them overcome their disorder with only the help from skilled practitioners in NXIVM and motivation from Marc's past success to propel them forward. So he's really, in that paragraph, riding dick hard on NXIVM.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely a part of it, but based on reading this.
He goes on to quote, he says about the documentary, I trust it was an honest mistake and that you missed the 2008 YouTube short about him, Tourette's, What Makes You Tick. That came out long before he knew NXIVM existed. I also trust you didn't watch my Tourette's documentary on YouTube that chronicled the journey of him and 4 other people overcoming Tourette's with NXIVM's tools. Don't you find you're just a little fucking hacky, bro? How you're like, and he's sucking the dick of NXIVM and NXIVM's leadership, who is now in jail. One of my favorite parts of that interview when he's like, Keith and also his co-partner, I forget her name, who's also in jail. I was like, yeah, they're all in jail, bro. He goes on, he says, yeah, so I found his warmness to NXIVM a little suspect.
I really couldn't stand how every time he was like, listen, I don't condone rape. I'm not for sexual assault. But I'm here to tell you this girl was lying. And she didn't say it under oath. So she was lying.
This girl and all 50-
and I'll take this guy, Raniere, I'll take his word over anything. But this girl is lying. But
and all the other ones.
I hate rape, though. Really hate it. And I don't want to be related to rape. But this guy that they found guilty and they put him in jail, he's right. And the girl lied. Because it wasn't under oath.
Also, he didn't have much to say when I showed him the branding.
Yeah.
He got real quiet when I was like, he's like, why? What does that have to do with anything? I'm like, well, I thought we were talking about Keith Raniere as not being a rapist. Oh, yeah, he said, she's a little kinky. That was so good. He's like, listen, this girl, she's known for being kinky. It's awesome. That's awesome. But what's interesting to me is hearing his arguments in defense. You can really tell that these opinions have never been challenged in a serious way because he's doing these kind of boilerplate, logical fallacy defense. Like he goes, there was never money exchanged. It's like there was never violence. It's like, what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah.
That doesn't absolve it
And
at all.
one last thought I had when I was listening is I wonder if anybody else noticed how much he like sounds like he's trying to imitate Keith Raniere. The way he talks, he sounds exactly like him.
Yeah, I felt when I was talking to him that he was trying to do something with his demeanor, like very purposeful and intentional with the way he carries himself.
It's the NXIVM way.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way they're like, so there's like 17,000 people. It's like the way they pronounce stuff, and they think that if they say numbers, and there's like a mix of like, I'm going to say a few numbers and I'm going to pronounce it a certain way. I'm going to sound so educated and I'm going to convince you. It doesn't matter what I'm telling you, but you're going to be convinced. It's like, that's probably part of their classes.
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the one thing you hear time and time again in these documentaries is that Keith Raniere was like a very...
You know that it's Raniere, right?
I don't care. Yeah, apparently I've been saying it wrong. Keith Raniere was a incredible speaker, very manipulative in the way that he could talk to people and persuade people, right?
Yeah. So manipulative, it could manipulate you out of having Tourette's. Boom.
Possible explanation for the NXIVM guy's ignorance? I was wrong about Andrew Tate and why I changed my mind on Andrew Tate. Could he really have not even clicked them? That is interesting. That is a good theory, to be honest. It is. Oh, this is the guy who was the main character in the first season of The Vow. He's the one that documented it all and then shared it with the documentarian documenters. So that was cool. This is the guy who was the main character in The Vow. So somebody posted this. I'll read it to you guys. It's titled, I like to make a distinction about Mark Elliott that I worry not everyone is getting. I know they're mostly joking on the show, but Mark Elliott is not a victim of NXIVM. He is on their payroll. He was the poster child of the cult and the reason they were able to trap so many people. His work with Keith was a partnership. It was not a mentor-student situation. They worked together to spread lies to convince their victims to join. Now, first of all, I should say that Mark has sued somebody, I think it was Stars, for something they put in their documentary. He lost, by the way. They did an anti-slap and knocked that bitch out. But not looking to get sued, I'll say this. I'm just reading this person's opinion. I don't know whether it's true or not. It's just their opinion. I don't think they have any insider information. It is an interesting opinion. By the way, I've been very careful about everything I say to him because we knew going into this that he had sued someone before. So I've been very, very, very careful to say, this is my opinion. This is my theory, etc., etc. But apparently Mark Elliott was actually a somewhat successful public speaker. And he was going on national tours. I saw someone on the subreddit say he came to their school to do an inspirational speech about how he overcame his Tourette's. And he had an influence and apparently a fan base that he was, you know, with all of his documentaries and stuff, started to involve NXIVM in his content. And so I understand where this theory comes from. Now, if they want to sue me, you guys know my opinion on that. I'm ready. Join the club. You know what I mean? What is H3 if he doesn't have 2 lawsuits at least? That's what I'm talking about. That's why he did not double down when Ethan called him out about saying the N-word, lying about having Tourette's, and fabricating a career as a motivational speaker out of it. His entire life is a scam, which is why he's doing rounds of publicity on behalf of Keith Raniere. The reason he said Dear H3 Highlights is because the message was likely a bot that went to every popular channel actively talking about Tate, fishing for anyone to respond to have him on their show so that he could show that video and hopefully lure in more members of the cult. This is a pretty compelling hypothesis, actually. So, yeah, I think the hypothesis that this person puts forward is compelling, that he used a bot and was just mass emailing people. That's why he continues. That's why he just sat there and took the L in exchange for showing the video of all those FBI agents speaking in front of the green screen on behalf of the cult. I know I'm not saying a single thing that is new to the vast majority. I just want to relay it in case some people truly do feel bad for the piece of shit, or even some who might be enticed by his journey. It's all a grift. With peace and love, I love you all. There's no way that anyone, I mean, who the fuck watching that would want to go and join NXIVM? That'd be surprising. But that's why, kind of like, when he wanted me to watch this propaganda video of the FBI agents and all this shit, and that's why I was like, well, I'm gonna have to play the music and the Subway Surfer and stuff, because I'm not trying to actually help him spread what I perceive to be propaganda for Keith Raniere. If he's got one person he's succeeded, someone said, I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think one person makes up for what he just went through. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even realize, by the way, that Ian did this. He did the close-up of Mark's face during the Subway Surfer thing. Oh, my God. I was dying, bro. Oh, my God. I watched it back yesterday. The part that I was laughing at the most
is cooked.
Let me watch it with you guys. Dude, when he can't close Zoom at the end, I was fucking dying, dude. I mean, does it get better than that? He could not escape. Holy shit, dude. I want to ask you guys, I want to do a poll. I did him the favor because he is somewhat of a public figure, and I want to give him a chance to change his life and, you know, go on the straight and narrow. I wanted to title it confronting NXIVM cult member Marc whatever. But I know that having his name in the title of a video with this many views is going to follow him wherever he goes whenever you type his name. So I was like, I don't know if I should give him the grace of not putting his name in the title, or even if it is helpful to the title, right? Yeah, someone said it gave Carlos curing autism vibes. I totally agree. It's awesome. So my question is, do you think I should put his name in the title? And someone actually had a good take too. They say it just gives him more attention. So maybe that's the ticket, is to deny him the attention of having his name in the title. I don't know. But you know for sure when anyone type his name, this video is going to show up. Oh wow. A resounding no. Interesting. I actually didn't expect that kind of results, but okay, there you go. Thank you for your opinion. So let's go to the episode here and let me show you my favorite part.
Oh, there's no job. Well, again, nice to meet you, Ethan.
Yeah, this whole thing with the Subway Surfer, because we have a Discord that we talk to behind the scenes, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna play his video. I was kind of like planning it in my head, which is why I was delaying a little bit here. And I was like, okay, you know what? I owe you this. I'm gonna play it. And meanwhile, I'm typing in Discord, get ready for a Nook and Subway Surfer and Kinetic Sand and shit. And it was so fucking funny, dude.
Thing like this on this scale.
When I first read the papers that Mr. Ranieri presented on tampering, I was shocked.
I've never seen
this video. So sus, by the way. Like, who are these people? I mean, he has their credentials there, but it's like, who's going on record for Keith Raniere, dude? Like, genuinely, what?
Instance where the system threw away its credibility purely for the
See, some of y'all try to tell me a Nook was dead, that Chestnuts was dead. You guys don't come into my house and tell me what's art. A Nook is art, and those chestnuts will always be roasting.
Purpose of convicting a defendant.
If it could happen to a person who is educated, who is white, who has the complexion for acceptance, as I would say, none of us are safe.
There's no need to fabricate evidence for a guilty man. The fact that they fabricated evidence here, and to the degree that they did, shocks the conscience.
And then I don't know, I asked Zach to play the Just Lyrics one, because that one for me hits kind of special. And so now we moved over to the Just a Nook, right?
Alleged FBI malfeasance turns out to be true, as our experts say it is, then this is really historic. This is really an attempt to frame somebody based on manipulation of data. That's just unacceptable in an American court and in the American legal system.
I'm the former United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Arkansas. In the face of this alarming evidence, there's really no excuse for the court or for the prosecutor to hide behind
Oh shit! I gotta say, his composure is impressive. If I can say anything to his benefit, the man was well composed throughout. Right? He never went to anger or anything really. It's like that. So that was impressive. I think. I don't know.
and waiting to get to the bottom of this. They should take
Yeah, this was all Ian. I didn't even know this was happening. Because when I saw this on the server, I was like, people were like, this is the quintessential picture of emotional damage. And I was like, I don't remember this part, but I like the image. Yeah, so that was Ian.
Action, and if they can't or they won't, the United States Attorney General should appoint an independent prosecutor. If an independent investigation determines that this tampering occurred, there must be accountability. People have
Yeah, I was cracking up. I had to roll out of the frame because my goal the whole time was to maintain as much possible this perception that I wasn't making fun of him and that I was on his side. Even now, I was trying to maintain that image to keep just, you know, a glimmer of hope that I was actually open to him.
Be criminally prosecuted. This is very serious.
Okay. Dude, and this song finished perfectly with the goddamn FBI video. Shortly after Mr. Renner's legal team first exposed this corruption, the government retaliated. I literally have tears in my eyes because I was just laughing so hard off screen. It was just such a perfect moment for me.
Yeah, I mean, what I know that you were playing the music, which was unfortunate, and making the jokes. You know, these are people, whether or not, again, whether you hate Keith Raniere or whatever you think about NXIVM, you know, these are very people that have served our country. Those are 4 FBI agents, other distinguished experts. There's also a former
This man goes, you need to listen to these distinguished folks who served our country, like in the FBI. He started this interview by being like, the FBI is a corrupt, horrible institution. Everybody's there. You know what I mean? It's like, make up your mind. Do we like the FBI or no? We like these FBI agents.
best prosecutor. You know, again, if you don't want to hear that
I do.
and
I'm
agree,
you know
that's
what?
okay.
Here's what I just want to. I'm going to give
what
you
I
the.
would say is
Here's what I want to do.
if
Here's
you
what I
ever
want
had-
to do. Wait,
if you
I'm
ever
serious.
had-
I want to give you the platform. I'm just going to. I really was trying to control the conversation too because I was well aware that he was just trying to spread propaganda and he was repeating himself a lot. And so, on one hand, I knew I was being like rude in the way I was interrupting him, but it was really important for me to control the conversation completely, right? Sometimes if you give these people too much room, space to talk, they'll just derail it. So, yeah. I'm gonna step away because, listen, obviously we've been doing some goofs here, and I feel I owe it to you. I'm going to step away. I'm going to sit right here and listen, but I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm just going to let you say your thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All I'll say is first, thank you again for you know, allowing me to come on. I didn't appreciate sort of the way it went, but even with that, what I'm talking about today and the video that you saw with these experts, these are serious, serious things that we're
And then
talking
Cam
about.
pulled this up, and I was like, bro, this is so fucking funny. Ugh. It just went so off the rails at the end there.
I think that's
What's wrong? What happened?
well, thank you. Yeah.
Do you want to give a closing statement? What's interesting is I saw him say somewhere, maybe it was on his website. I could be misremembering, but it said, I want to talk to people, haters and lovers alike, to have open dialogues about this. So, in a sense, he got his wish. Statement or anything?
No, I think that they're just putting things on the screen.
Oh, it's just, no, that helps people's attention span because it's a little boring. So it's a little dense. So sometimes you put kinetic sand or Subway Surfer, it makes it easier to listen.
Gotcha. Thank you for having me
Did you
on
see this
today,
photo
guys.
of you guys, of the 3 amigos? Dude. Oh, shit. Whenever I hear Love laughing, dude, that shit is so fucking funny. Oh, God. I do feel bad, though, at the same time.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Do you want to give a closing statement or anything?
No, I think that they're just putting things on the screen.
Oh, it's just, no, that helps people's attention span because it's a little boring. So it's a little dense. So sometimes you put kinetic sand or Subway Surfer, it makes it easier to listen.
Gotcha.
Hey,
Thank you for having me on.
don't take offense. They do it to me too. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just boring. This
Today,
photo
guys.
of you guys, of the 3 amigos. Oh, fuck. Did you? I'm with you, by the way. ACAB, brother. Free my voice. You don't know how to turn off Zoom. You're trying, but you can't get away with fucking ACAB. Well, the thing is, when he's you can't see because they have the image up, but he's really flustered in this moment, trying to close Zoom.
No, I think that they're just putting things on the screen.
Oh, it's just no. That helps people's attention span.
Oh
It's
my
a little
God,
boring,
dude.
So it's a little dense. So sometimes you put Kinetic Sand or Subway Surfer, it makes it easier to listen.
Gotcha. Thank
Hey,
you for
did
having
you
me
see
on
this
today,
photo
guys.
of you guys, of the three amigos?
So he's panicking right now. You guys can't see, but he's just trying to get out of Zoom, and then that started to kill me because you can tell he was sitting there composed and relatively motionless, and then all of a sudden he's moving and he's clicking. You can tell he's trying to exit Zoom.
You, by the way, ACAB, brother. Free my voice. You don't know how to turn off Zoom. You're trying, but you can't get away.
Yeah, I wish you guys could see that.
How do you get out of this?
What is he?
No, there's no trouble. Well, again, nice to meet you, Ethan. And
yeah,
thanks for having me on today.
I'm sorry to put you all through that. Ultimately, you are the victim, and I hope Ramirez dies in prison. I really do. I really do. But one day you're going to be free of this, and I'll be there to help you. I'm so sorry. This is Keith's fault that you went through this. It really is, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
thanks
sorry.
for having me on today.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. All right, take care.
Have a good night.
Have a good night just destroyed my soul. You could just feel, you know what I mean? And it's just like the have a good night. It's like, ugh, I feel the pain. I feel bad. But God, it was fucking funny, wasn't it? Fuck. Oh, Cameron just sent me some good details. Cameron says he hopes I do get sued because it's on his bingo squares. Gee, thanks, Cam. Nothing more important than your success on bingo. One of the FBI guys in that video, Cam just sent me some receipts. There's actually a subreddit called the NXIVM case where Dan got a lot of we got a lot of research info from this website. NXIVM members say ex-FBI agent Rick Kipper is the leader of their forensic team, claiming Keith Raniere was framed with manipulated and planted evidence. They forgot to mention Kipper is a crank who promoted multiple 2020 election conspiracy theories. Well, that certainly, in my opinion, discredits him. Kipper called Trump's speech calling for the overturn of Pennsylvania ballots informative. Kipper endorses stories pushed by Disinfo Mill's Federalist Epoch Times. Kipper endorses the claims that Dominion voting machines were hacked. This was the basis for Sidney Powell's lawsuit that was tossed as astonishingly speculative. Kipper is in a public proceeding where his qualifications are part of the evidence. He has also left these posts up publicly in fashion, suggesting he does not retract them. NXIVM bought ads touting his qualifications, and Newsmax aired a story recently based on these claims. That's crazy. Let me see the tweets. Very informative voter fraud summary by President Trump, especially at about the 30-minute mark. If these facts are new to you, then you've been living in an information bubble. Or I wonder how long it will be before Facebook and YouTube take it down. Yeah. Proof that working in the FBI does not mean you are smart, interesting, credible, or anything, really. Have you been told, this is more Rick Kipper stuff, have you been told there's no evidence of 2020 voter fraud besides the 1,000 plus sworn affidavits, ballots found in trash cans, truckloads of ballots being delivered across? Yeah, so this guy's just on board with all this crap. Who is he? What does he look like? Which guy was he in the video? Rick Rick Kipper. This guy. Meet the team, baby. Oh, was this the guy who was over that really weird green screen? I always forget how to spell it because it's all weird. Oh, yeah. NXIVM. Keith. Free Keith. He liked that, by the way. When I said Free Keith, he was like, yeah, dude, I'm into that. Fucking love that. Can you believe this dude got 120 years? That's so epic, dude. 120 years, my man. That's a solid sentencing. I can't even find the video. It's Keith is innocent. FBI. Oh, FBI tampered with evidence. Let's see that. Bro, where is your video? Can you give it a better title? Like what?
Probably on his website.
Right, it's probably on his website. I don't even remember what his website is. I can't remember his name. What was it? Fuck. Oh, look at this.
Welcome to One America.
Okay, so this dude got on this podcast. I wonder, let's see what his interactions with other people are like on their podcast. The title of this One America podcast. Was NXIVM a cult? Is Keith Raniere guilty? And then the FBI plants evidence. Wow. Top comment. So, wow, he is finding sympathetic ears.
American podcast. We are live tonight to have a very interesting conversation about NXIVM and Keith Raniere. I'm very excited to have this conversation with two men who I have come to find as friends and been very impressed with interacting with.
This man loves Marc. This dude's ready to go. He's ready for that executive success course.
Periodically over the last year or so, ever since I met Nick.
Hey, can NXIVM cure having a small dick? I'm asking for a friend. Is there an executive course for that?
Klein. Some of you may have seen the episode that Nikki and I did together about a year ago. It's one of my favorite episodes, even to this day, that we've done. And so what I want to do
you're so
is
boring, bro. How are you gonna do a podcast and be that fucking boring? This seems to be. I'm just making throwing a guess out there, but it does seem like some kind of conservative. Yeah, he's got Gavin McInnes. They talk about Tim Pool. There's got to be a video about me here, right? Oh God, yeah. This guy's a conservative shitbag, and that's the audience he's going for. He knows his audience. You can literally convince these people of anything. It's awesome for him. It's great. So shout out.
Welcome to One American podcast.
Shout out to this really, really, really compelling stuff. Bro, I want to watch your FBI video, but I can't. I don't know where it is. Oh, he was on Theo Von too. Isn't that so interesting? Theo Von cured Tourette's. Dude. Oh, it only has 80,000. It was 4 years ago.
Is that there was a way that I could help people in this way. That's how I wanted to learn how to help people.
I see. So you were helping people. You were talking about Tourette's, and then you got involved with the ESP group.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, I was able to do
ESP. Dude, this is crazy. I'm sure that Theo Von has no idea what he's participating in, but this is straight up NXIVM propaganda.
that over the last 5 years, and it's been unbelievable. And one cool thing was after we started, after what happened to me, and again, ESP had nothing to do with Tourette's, but once it happened, the founders, they started going, Keith Raniere and Nancy Salzman, I think they started to go, what if we could replicate this with other people?
Dude, this is wild. He's out there. This is, I guess, before all this shit came out. He's really doing like heavy PR for them. Straight up NXIVM propaganda recruiting. Wow. You should probably remove this. Or maybe not. I don't know. At this point, I don't think it's convincing anyone.
And so over the last 4 years, we've been able to replicate with 10 other people with Tourette's.
Get into the program and get better.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, we created a special thing just for people with Tourette's. And this is the crazy thing. So it took me like a year and a half to get down 90%, as I was describing. Guess how fast it's been replicated?
I hate when they make you guess. It's like, just tell me, bro. I don't know. Not a doctor. In fact, I don't even care. Just tell me. Those games always backfire. You either overguess, you underguess. Just tell me, dude.
I don't know.
Take one guess.
No, bro. He said, I don't know. You seriously?
7 what?
I hate this. This man will never be Keith. Oh, he's so annoying right now.
I don't know.
Like 7 months?
Yeah, I think so.
I think Theo is probably annoyed with this.
4 hours.
Oh, wow.
4 hours?
He cured them in 4 hours, you guys. It took him a year and a half. The new people, it took 4 hours. Hold on, I gotta send this timestamp. This is crazy, dude.
He didn't dare to tell you that crap.
Of course not. 4 hours. This guy thought he was on top of the world at the time. With Keith.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, we created a special thing just for people with Tourette's. And this is the crazy thing. So it took me like a year and a half to get down 90%, as I was describing. Guess how fast it's been replicated?
Oh, how did I go down?
I don't know.
Take one guess.
7.
7 what?
7.
I don't know.
Like 7 months?
Yeah, I think so.
4 hours.
Oh, wow. Jesus, man. I hate guessing.
People can get rid of using this, can get rid of
man.
Tourette's in 4 hours.
Oh, nah. No, they can't. They really?
Thank you, Theo. Okay, king shit. Yeah, dude, no, they cannot.
I kid you not. It
4
was
hours.
probably one of...
That sounds like something I would say.
I'm dead serious. So I want to be really clear. It's not saying anybody can get
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy for him for that.
rid of their Tourette syndrome. I'm
Okay.
saying people that had severe Tourette syndrome that had tried tons of
Took them
different
3
things,
hours.
that deeply wanted to get rid of it and
Bro,
end it.
who the fuck doesn't want to get rid of Tourette's? There's this implication that some people with Tourette's, they just don't want it enough. You know, some people are just... His comparison to, oh yeah, fat people, they just don't want it enough. The ones that don't, it's like, really? Some people can cure their autism if they want it enough.
It for themselves. And also, you know, we went through quite an interview process.
This guy's such a charlatan. It's incredible that nobody ever really called him out hard enough. Okay, he's had this coming for a while. This was from fucking 5 years ago. The shit he's saying right now is even crazier than the shit he's saying back then is crazier than the shit he says today.
Because we're looking, you know, we were looking for very specific people that, you know, we thought just met a bunch of different conditions that thought, you know, that they would be a good candidate for this. For all of those people, I would say 7 or 8, 2 or 3 out of the 10 are down 70%.
Wow.
And the other 6, 7 are down 90.
Dude, I know Theo Von doesn't give a single fuck about anything he's saying.
Plus.
Wow.
And what was so neat is that once this started
Because I've
happening,
been there in the early days of the podcast. You just, you know, you think Joe Rogan's the only way to do a podcast. You want to emulate that. And so you're like, oh, I'm just going to have people and talk to them and listen to them. And it's not for everybody. And I think Theo Von's the same way I am. Sometimes I get people in there and I'm just like, fuck, this conversation is not interesting to me at all. But you feel like you have to fake it through it to make this podcast. I've been there so many times. Oh, people are saying that Theo acknowledges this interview after the documentary came out.
happening over the last 4 years, we had this incredible filmmaker who he goes, we got to start filming this.
Oh, that's the guy who made the vow. He's talking about the guy who came out against them.
Oh my god.
Okay, so what that tells me is that this dude is pretty high up to know about all this stuff. Yo, he literally predicted. Holy fuck. Hold on. I got to see this. I got to send the guys this. That's crazy.
Conditions that thought, that they would be a good candidate for this.
That's the guy who I was showing you who liked the tweet about it.
An interview process, because we're looking, we were looking for very specific people that, we thought just met a bunch of different conditions that thought, that they would be a good candidate for this. For all of those people, I would say seven or eight, 2 or 3 out of the 10 are down 70%.
Wow.
And the other 6, 7 are down 90 plus.
Wow.
And what was so neat is that once this started happening over the last 4 years, we had this incredible filmmaker who he goes, we got to start filming this. So we started to film it. And so what was so neat is that, I would find someone with Tourette's, or someone would tell me about somebody with Tourette's.
Yeah.
And we would go through this whole process to see if they would be a good candidate. And then once we thought if we had, a good candidate, a film crew would go out to their life, film their whole life with Tourette's. They would come work with us in Albany, beat their Tourette's, and then we would go back into their life and film their life without Tourette syndrome.
Do you guys, y'all aren't like it's not, you guys can't be like in the Special Olympics or anything. I feel like you could fucking run that shit if you could tighten.
I can't be in the Special Olympics, no, but I will tell you, I'd much rather just train for the regular Olympics now.
Yeah.
I mean, just because life is so different now.
Is it really? What do you miss about having Tourette's, man? Like really having it?
I cannot stand people like that. Do you guys know what I mean? Like the way he talks, he clearly just been obsessed with improving the way he talks. And it's just, you can tell this is already from 5 years ago. He has the same exact shtick, like the way he talks. I can't listen to him. I can't hear him.
He's a phony baloney.
Yeah.
He's a phony baloney. This is so interesting, though.
Well, the thing that I miss is, I miss in some ways. Let me think about this for 1 sec.
Wait, he's saying he misses having Tourette's? See, is that what he's saying? Let me go back.
Life without Tourette syndrome.
Do you guys, y'all aren't like in the, it's not, you guys can't be like in the Special Olympics or anything. I feel like you could fucking run that shit if you could tighten.
I can't be in the Special Olympics, no, but I will tell you, I'd much rather just train for the regular Olympics now.
Yeah.
I mean, just because life is so.
Dude, deal is funny. That's awesome. I'm still waiting for my handicap placard.
Different now.
Is it really? What do you miss about having Tourette's, man?
Bro, that's such a crazy question. There's nothing to miss about it. I mean, it's funny. It's a great question. The fact that he's actually thinking about what I miss about Tourette's, to me, I don't think anyone with Tourette's would actually take anything more than a moment to say nothing. Nothing. There's nothing to miss.
Like really having it.
The thing that I miss is, I miss in some ways. Let me think about this for 1 sec.
This man I sense deception here. I feel that anyone genuine with Tourette's would not need a second to think about this. I mean, that's like saying, what do you miss about having cancer? It's like, it's not a positive thing. I miss everyone I miss everyone feeling bad for me. I don't know what the fuck.
I'm trying to think. I'm gonna try and think what I would miss.
The thing is, people knew me.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, you're a rare element, man. I
People
remember.
knew
yeah,
me.
People knew you.
So
What? People knew him? Don't more people know you now? People knew you as the dude who said the N-word on the bus. How is that good? You said the N-word on a bus full of black people. That is horrible. They knew you. What?
Part of what my experience has been over the years is that I had to start how to learn in a way that I never did before, how to relate with people.
I can understand that.
And I think, that's not unique to Tourette's. I think we all have different things. You're
He goes, people knew me. That's what he missed. People knew me. I said, knew you as what? The dude who said the N-word on the bus? Like, that makes... something's off about this whole Tourette story. Ain't nothing to miss there. Period. What did you miss exactly about what's that deer tick disease? Fuck. Sometimes I just can't remember anything. Lyme. What do you miss about having Lyme disease? Do you miss anything? What do you miss about having a fever? I guess there is. I do miss, like, in a way, vegging out when I have a fever. I guess that's not a great one.
I don't know a lot of your history, but you were a comedian. You've been a comedian in a long time.
Yeah.
So now imagine if somebody said, "Hey, Theo, comedy's done. Never can make a joke again."
That is not a good comparison. Doing comedy is a career. It's a life choice. Tourette syndrome is a neurological disease, bro. What are you even saying? What the fuck? What?
And then think about what it would mean to how every conversation now you had with somebody.
Oh, that's bad. That's a really good correlation, man. It would be baffling.
You know?
I think obviously Theo's struggling to get through this conversation. I don't blame him. That is a nonsensical, absolutely insane comparison.
And so that's also what was so neat is that I was going through the classes. I was doing a lot of work to also build a foundation just to learn how to be more me, how to learn how to be with people again, because my whole life I always had the Tourette's. I always had this thing.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting because, the first whole journey was beating the Tourette's.
Right.
And then there was a whole other journey after that.
Who were you without the Tourette's?
Exactly.
It was almost like it was now you're Clark Kent, and you're like, well, who the fuck is who am I?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Superman is the one with the Tourette's. The documentary about curing Tourette's. Let's see. Curing Tourette's. Let's see if they pop up. This one, radical surgery cures Tourette's. What the fuck they do? A lobotomy? I beat Tourette's with NXIVM. You know what? Let's watch this. This is from a year ago. So I think this is after Keith got arrested. Let's see how deep in the hole is he. You know what's funny? He's trying to hype what a public figure he is. This man just played the same two images back to back. Look at this. Look at this, Hila. You're supposed to put more than two images to make you look important and prolific. They're just two images.
Hello, everybody. My name is Marc Elliott. I am so excited to start this video podcast series. It's something I've wanted to do for some time, to share my story about how I lived with something that most people believe is incurable around the world, and then I ended up beating it completely, mind over body. And also with the recent events that have been happening in my life, I just thought there was no better time to start than now. If you don't know anything about me, I grew up with a severe case of Tourette syndrome. Tourette syndrome is deemed by the medical community a neurological, genetic, involuntary disorder that has no cure. So people that have it manifests in both motor...
Hold on, Shredder's tripping out. Hila's about to exercise, so y'all might see that in the background.
Tics and vocal tics. And I want to show a little video of what my life was like when I was ticking. My friends and I, we estimated that I ticked about 25 million times.
Okay, this number is just bizarre. I ticked 25 million times. I just find that, why would the fuck would they calculate that? And how did they calculate that? And why? I believe you have Tourette's, bro. Or, I mean, if I'm watching this video, I have no reason to doubt you. I don't know why. Yeah, well, I've ticked 100 million times, so what the fuck is up now?
Over the 20 years. And also, some people with Tourette's, they also say bad words. You maybe have seen it in the media. It's a small percentage, but I was a part of that group. So not only did I tick bad words, but also
oh, yeah, let's hear it.
Racial slurs. I want to show you a video of that as well.
Uh-oh. Is he going to drop an M-bomb? Wait, I can't watch that. Can't show that.
Living with Tourette syndrome was crazy. But luckily, I had a wonderful family and a support system. And as the cliche goes, I was able to turn lemons into lemonade. And I ended up becoming an inspirational speaker on tolerance and compassion all across the nation and even internationally. And really, I was taking my experience of being so different from other people, and also the fact that I was on the other end of hate and prejudice, when I was in public, and I took, lessons from all of that to convey just this very basic message of, look, we don't know that much about each other's lives. While he was speaking, I went to middle schools, colleges, high schools, organizations, corporations. I want to show you a few pics here. Between 2010 and 2014.
I don't know, dude. This is all pretty corny. And
here. Between 2010 and 2014, I had about 450 engagements. Also in 2011, I was named College Speaker of the Year and Diversity Speaker of the Year by Campus Activities Magazine.
bro, enough with your credentials. Let's get to the goddamn journey. You only have 8 minutes, dude.
And in 2011, I did something that I thought I never would do, and that is I
joined a
authored
cult.
a book.
Oh, wrote a book.
What Makes You Tick? My Journey from Tourette's to Tolerance. Now, while I was speaking, I ended up being introduced to some.
Wait, hold on. Hold on.
Speaking, I ended journey. What makes you tick? My journey from Tourette's to tolerance.
What does that mean? From Tourette's to tolerance? Implying that people with Tourette's aren't tolerant? I don't understand that. Right? There's that implication that these two things are opposites. Dude, this guy, he's just so phony. There's so many red flags here. Hold on. Some people are saying it's boring. Let me pull up. Check this out. Yeah. All right, Mark, go ahead. Sorry about that. Sorry about that boring content there for a second.
Now, while I was speaking, I ended up being introduced to some courses on emotional intelligence from another speaker called Executive Success Programs.
That is NXIVM. That was the high-level, super expensive program that they channeled like celebrities and rich people into. It's like the, how Scientology has this program for like all the rich people. So he was a member of that as someone who was potentially influential and could convince other people to join NXIVM. This is crazy to see.
So let me show it here. It goes by ESP for short. Now, you probably haven't heard of ESP.
Like, even without knowing anything about NXIVM, if I'm watching this cold, I'm already getting bad vibes. Like, he's hitting me. He's hitting me like he's trying to convert me. It's like a selling page,
but
a success program.
Almost guarantee you, or I imagine that most of you have heard of its parent company known as...
Holy fuck, look at that sand. That one is so nice.
As NXIVM. Now, NXIVM has dominated the news cycle over the last 3 years. Unless you were living in a cave, it was pretty hard to miss. I mean, it's made headlines around the world. Even a few months ago, Saturday Night Live did, a skit about NXIVM. Now, when I started taking the courses 10 years ago, of course, they had nothing to do with sex and or Tourette's even for that matter. But the reason I went is because, with the Tourette's, I had a lot of self-judgment and a lot of self-hate, and I wanted to change that. So I started going to the courses, and as I was working on that stuff, as a total I
understand the self-hate, like the frustration of like, why am I like this? But self-judgment, I don't. That seems far-fetched. Like, why would you judge yourself? I don't know.
Product, my tics started to go down. And after continuing to take the courses after a year and a half and putting in my own effort, I was able to get my Tourette's down 90%. And eventually, I continued to take more classes, and I was then able to beat my Tourette's completely again using mind.
You keep saying
mind over body.
I feel like this is like a attorney-approved statement because he always says this. So they don't want to say I cured Tourette's because obviously that's like a fraudulent claim. He says, I beat Tourette's mind over body. You'll notice he says that verbatim all the time.
The point where now, if you met me, you would never know that I lived a day with Tourette's in my life. Now, after this unprecedented transformation that I experienced, I then had the opportunity to then work with the founders of NXIVM and ESP. You maybe have heard of their name before. I want to bring up their photos here. Keith.
So these are the two leaders who are now in jail. So he's homies with them. So he's high up. That is actually interesting. Yeah, this is pretty bad. He's in deep, man.
Raniere and Nancy Salzman. Now, as you know, there's tons of controversy around them. But with respect to the Tourette's, really there was just one question, and it was, can we replicate what happened to me with other people with Tourette syndrome? And we found out the answer is yes. So over the next 4 years, we went on a wonderful journey of trying to help other people beat Tourette's. We ended up working with 10 other people that had...
How can you just skim over the fact that he's in jail for like rape and child pornography? He's like, yeah, these guys are my good friends. I work closely with them. Yeah, there's some controversy, but anyway, enough about that. We had this wonderful program. Dude, are you just going to gloss over child pornography?
Great results as well. Some of them, when they came and they worked with us, in a matter of 4 to 5 hours, their Tourette's was down 90%. And again, this is just through conversations. And over the 4 years, we also had the privilege to be able to work with a filmmaker. His name is Alessandro Molatare, and he documented the journey of all of these people trying to beat their Tourette syndrome. And in 2018, that film, it was made into a documentary, and it debuted at the CineQuest Film Festival in 2018. After that, it traveled to film festivals around the world. It even won some awards.
Again, see how he talks about it? Again, they're toying around it. He says, is there a solution to something that has no cure? Come on, bro. Stop trying to beat around the bush. We all know what you're saying, what you're trying to say.
At the Milan Film Festival and the Harlem Film Festival. And as of a few weeks ago, we relaunched the film, My Tourette's, and we actually put it on YouTube for anyone in the world to watch it and experience it for free. And you can check the link below to watch the movie yourself. So this then brings me to present day.
Who paid for that movie? You put it out for free. Making movies is expensive. Who paid for it?
And why I also wanted to make these videos. So about a year ago, there was a docuseries on Starz called Seduced. Now, Seduced, one of the executive producers of it.
Okay, so this is the guy he sued for, quote, misrepresenting his involvement, and he lost that. The judge granted the anti-slap.
Her name is India Oxenberg. She's also the main protagonist in the film, and it's really about her experience in NXIVM and also the secret society now known as DOS. Now, even though it's about that, I happen to be, I guess you could say, highlighted in this docuseries, and not in a positive way. Now, it's important for you to know, I have no criminal charges against me regarding the NXIVM trial.
This dude literally named this video "My Journey of Beating Tourette's with NXIVM," and he's like, yes, I am homies with Keith and Nancy, and yes, I was highlighted in this documentary. It's not even really about his beating his Tourette's at all, is it?
I don't have any criminal charges against me anywhere in my life. I don't even have criminal allegations or just an allegation in general in life against me. And also, I was not in the secret society DOS. Yet despite all of that, for some reason, I was attacked, particularly in the second episode. I was attacked my character and my reputation for reasons I do not know why. When I saw it, it deeply pained me. And also, I was just so surprised because the reality of what they were trying to portray me as is so starkly different from the reality of how I've lived my life over the last 20 years in trying to help people. So after I saw it, I really felt I wanted to right this wrong. And so I put in a lot of work. I was able to get help from a bunch of friends and family. And as of about a week ago, I finally was able to file a defamation lawsuit for $12 million against Line.
Yeah, that was, again, judge granted their anti-slap, so he lost. Yeah, he lost that one.
Lionsgate and Stars for how they portrayed me in the docuseries Seduced. Now, I don't think this is unique in terms of this happening to me. I mean, there's character assassination happening to so many people, and it's wrong. And I think that it's important that we try to expose these things as this isn't a good thing that is happening in our society. And also, it's just unacceptable in this case, as, you know, this is a series that's supposed to be a documentary. So I wanted to create...
God, bro, you're so boring, even in this shit. Let's see what's his popular. Kind of curious what his speeches are like.
Incredibly open, and I people how to. Right now, I'm traveling all across the country, speaking to audiences about tolerance. I'm trying to teach people how to become more tolerant individuals. And so the way that I am going to teach you about tolerance today is by sharing with you a lot of my personal stories in life and by being incredibly open, and I mean incredibly open about my personal challenges. Tourette syndrome is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. What a crazy, crazy disorder. So I say offensive words, and so I say racial slurs. So I say racial slurs for black people.
Dude, you don't time your Tourette's like that. Okay, whatever. I'm out.
I have an older gay brother, and I say words like, "And you're gay." And this
All
is
right, we can't. Yeah, can't do that.
Marc responded on Twitter. He is in damage control. He says, yes, I fell into a trap going on the H3 podcast.
I don't know if it's
It was not really a trap. It's like he walked into the ocean.
He slowly walked in the ocean.
Yeah,
and never
like,
came out.
It's not really a trap.
There was
at
no
all.
trap.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
It wasn't.
He trapped
yeah, it
himself.
wasn't.
He
Yeah.
trapped himself.
He walked in. We never misled him at all. He walked in and we said, yes, come on the show.
At the beginning of the interview, you misled him by saying like you were a supporter or whatever. But that was after he was already here. He had every opportunity to know beforehand what he was signing up for.
Never, ever, ever do it.
Yeah, and none of our communication prior to the show did we give any indication that we believed a word that he was saying. Or
I'm actually really proud of how we handled the communication.
Yeah.
Because I do think it was important that we did not deceive him at all. And we didn't. So he said, yes, I fell into a trap going on the H3 podcast. Thanks for the tag. At the end, though, Ethan was afraid to play the video of digital forensic experts talking about the evidence tampering in the U.S. versus Raniere, as it might be too compelling. He ended up playing it, but couldn't resist mocking it. So here he is talking about how he actually had the dub.
So last night I went on the H3 podcast with Ethan Klein, and boy, did I walk into the trap of my life. Ethan called me out at the beginning. He said, you did not do your research. And no, Ethan, I did not do enough research about Ethan Klein, sir. So you definitely got me there.
Okay.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Fair enough.
I don't think we need to watch any more.
Wait, he's about to maneuver.
The whole thing, they were basically playing me. You know, he was pretending to agree with me about these egregious, crimes that the government committed in the case of U.S. versus Raniere. When in the end, it didn't seem that he agreed with my position with anything. You know, they mocked me. They had ad hominem attacks. All this.
Ad hominem? I didn't do that, did I? What's ad hominem?
Well,
when I attack him instead of his argument.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
I've never heard that phrase.
I never
Really?
insulted him.
I feel like everyone on that side.
That is one of their favorite
that's
phrases.
Their favorite, fresh and fit.
Ad hom.
They
ad
say
hom.
that every argument, fresh and fit. Says that.
I feel like we were very, very on point with our key argument.
Yeah.
We were engaging fully, attacking the person. This fallacy occurs when instead of addressing someone's argument or position, you irrelevantly attack the person or some aspects of the person who is making the argument. For example, would be someone saying, I'm fat and my wife is ugly, instead of addressing the fact that of what I said about.
Correct. Yeah.
That's a great example.
Yeah. I'm on the receiving end of it all the time, actually, in fact.
This sort of stuff. Even at one point, they were claiming that I was making up my, living with Tourette's for 20 years. It was incredible. But despite, the craziness of the whole thing, what was amazing is that at the end, I asked Ethan to play the YouTube video showing the digital forensic experts talking about how the government tampered with evidence in the case of U.S. versus Raniere. And even with all the disagreements we had on that call, the one thing he agreed with is that he was afraid to play it because he thought it was too compelling.
I think you said it was boring. It was too boring.
Well, I said both.
Yeah, no, I think you did say that at some point.
I was jokingly. He said, "Why won't you play it?"
Ironic.
Actually, do you have this man really that fucking dense, bro?
No. He's
Is he being?
He's doing what, of
facetious?
course, he's doing. He's twisting it and putting his spin on it.
But it's not even like. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Oh my god, bro, that's crazy.
I mean, we were excited to pull it up because it's really fucking funny that Alan Dershowitz is in it. So that's not really true that we didn't want to show it at all.
Also, one of the guys in it is like the FBI guy's like an election fraud freak was it all in like Dominion voting?
Yeah, I mean that was my assumption too. Is like whenever you hear that kind of thing,
there's a bunch of weirdos. Dude.
I watched the whole video prior when I was doing the research on it, and yeah, my impression was, well, first of all, a lot of the people in the video, their statements are kind of like phrased in such a way that it's kind of vague, almost as if they're responding to a hypothetical.
That's what I noticed when we were watching it. They
Yeah.
were speaking like totally.
Yeah. No, I think
specific.
I suspect it was the question was posed in such a way, like, if the FBI were to have found to have falsified this metadata or whatever, would that be an egregious, infraction on his civil rights? And they're like, that would be a huge infraction. And then, boom, that's your soundbite right there.
Look how old and weird they all are. It's like a collection of just old, weird people.
A bunch of pedo defenders.
All right. So listen, we put poor Mark through the ringer. And I do feel like after everything we've been through, I do owe it to him to at least play this video so he can at least not accuse me of thinking that it's too compelling or something. So here it is, guys. I'm just going to play it. It's only 2 minutes long. And let's just listen to what they have to say. Experts versus Keith Raniere.
I worked in the FBI for about 10 years. It is clear that the photos in this case were planted there.
This is the most serious tampering of evidence that I've ever seen.
It's inescapable that the FBI proactively created fake evidence.
Data changed while I was in FBI custody. It was modified, it was altered.
25 years digital forensic investigations, 5 of which was with the FBI.
Okay, that is interesting.
Amount of technical ability and premeditation to perform this fraud in the case against Mr. Raniere. I've never seen anything like that.
In my 20 years experience with the FBI, I have never seen.
Okay, we need to look up this guy's
manipulation,
because he does make a good point here.
Like this on this scale.
My first that Mr. Raniere presented on tampering, I was shocked.
I've never seen an instance
This guy was a former Supreme Court Justice of Arkansas, so he is credible.
Wow. No, that is an impressive.
This dude's from the Exonerated Five. Oh, this guy was an attorney for Keith Raniere. Well, that's a little biased. It's a little biased. Out the Dersh, of course, who we talked about.
Who else did he represent?
Yeah, that's the Epstein lawyer.
Got it.
Based on manipulation of data, that's just unacceptable.
He's really going on and on too. He's got the most compelling.
Former United States Attorney.
This guy's name is Bud Cummings, so that kind of disqualifies him.
That's imagine being in elementary school, the name Bud Cummings.
But he was a United States attorney.
Yeah, he had a lot to prove with that name.
Yeah, I was gonna say anything. He put in the work.
United States Attorney General to appoint an independent prosecutor.
He does have good. He's compelling.
Yeah.
There must be accountability. People have to be criminally prosecuted. This is very serious.
Okay, so there, yeah.
It's easy to pretend. I know you're not through. You know better what she's a friend. Who is the shit still not forgiven? So I know you wanna dance again. The way I dance with you.
All right, I think we got. That's it. So, Mark, I think that just cured my Tourette's.
Yeah.
Mark, we played the whole thing uninterrupted. I will say that there was some good points, some
It's compelling stuff.
So I encourage people to look into it, follow the threads, and they'll.
I think I might sign up for NXIVM.
Right, it's kind of sounding pretty good.
Have a good night. So last night I went on the H3.
Oh fuck! What a weirdo that he said. I admitted. Did you find that? Yeah, watch this timestamp. This is where he says that I had to admit that it was too compelling. Wait. This isn't it. Is it before this?
Sorry, I misunderstood with that timestamp.
2 minutes. I'd be grateful if you play that at
He's
least.
an advocate. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, here, if you can find the timestamp, I'll open it, but it's going to be a little messy to search live.
Have a good night.
You as well. You know, we talked about how he was on Theo Vaughn's podcast. I was watching them speak, and this part stuck out to me. I thought this was really interesting.
We've been able to replicate with 10 other people with Tourette's.
Get into the program and get better.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, we created a special thing just for people with Tourette's. And this is the crazy thing. So it took me like a year and a half to get down 90%, as I was describing. Guess how fast it's been replicated?
I was saying, I hate when they do this, bro. He's not your fucking pony. He makes some guess. He plays along.
I don't know.
Take one guess.
He says, you have to guess. He doesn't want to guess. Nobody likes
He
the
doesn't know.
guessing game because it's either too high or too low, and it takes the
He's
fun
like,
out of it.
oh, you idiot. You guessed wrong. You fucking moron. You rube.
Yeah, you were way off, idiot.
Way
Or
off,
way over.
dumbass.
You ruined it. They go, how much? Guess how much this cost? I don't know, $1,000. Bro, you
are
ruined it.
wrong.
It's only 200.
You are wrong. It's even, it's rough when it's something that's impossible as well.
He has no idea. How's Theo Vaughn going to know how long it took your dumbass to cure Tourette's? Well, here it is.
7.
7.
7 what?
He's doing a joke, bro. Just please. He's trying to salvage your boring ass. Don't make me pull up Subway Surfer.
7 days a week.
I don't know.
Like 7 months?
Yeah, I think so.
4 hours.
Oh, wow. Jesus, man. I hate you.
Oh, wow.
People can get rid of using this, can get rid of
man.
Tourette's in 4
Oh, no. No, they can't. They really?
No.
So
he's so funny. I love him.
It's not buying.
He's being really amicable this whole time, but even that claim made Theo Vaughn be like,
Yeah,
what?
he was like, what?
So if you were wondering if this guy's a scam artist or not, He just said he can cure people's Tourette's in 4 hours.
Kid you not, it was probably one
That
of...
sounds like something I would say.
I'm dead serious. So I want to be really clear. It's not saying anybody can get rid of their Tourette syndrome. I'm saying people that had severe Tourette syndrome, that had tried tons of different things, that deeply wanted to get rid of it and end it for them.
This to me is so obscene how he's like, it only works for people that want to get rid of it.
Right.
It's like, who the fuck wants Tourette's? You didn't really want to get rid of it. It's not happening for you. You got to want it.
You know,
I'm cool walking around screaming the N-word on buses.
It's happening.
The one piece of information that didn't come up during the interview that I wish had was one of the victim impact statements. Here, I'll send it to you right now. Actually was from a victim that went through the Tourette's program.
Ooh.
Yeah, and described it as being like just horribly abusive. And,
Ooh.
Yeah, here. Oh, wait.
Oh, man. You
This
think he'll
is,
come back on? Email him. Say, hey, you want to hop on? Do it.
No. He's not coming back on.
He might. He's desperate for any attention.
Have a good night.
Here's one of the victim impact statements. When I was told I was a candidate for participating in NXIVM's Tourette's study, I believed it was a legitimate medical study, and I was hopeful that this study would help my Tourette's. 4 hours. Clearly, you did not want it.
Yeah, they didn't want it. That was their problem. They have a victim mentality.
I love fucking shaking my head so hard that I have headaches, migraines.
Right.
But I didn't want it enough. You know? I literally giving myself, because I do this shit with my wrists, I'm literally giving myself carpal tunnel.
Ooh. That does suck.
My fucking, my nerves, if I pick something up weird, it's like so painful.
Ooh.
This is happening.
That sucks.
Just give me 4 hours, Mark, please, bro. I want it. In fact, there was no medical screening in advance of participation, and I was given no information about the study or its risk. No one informed me that the study, in fact, required me to take ESP, executive, that's their bullshit.
That's their program, yeah.
Intensives. I had no clue that I was going to be required to take expensive intensives that went from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Or that's crazy. Or that as a result, I would be obligated to Claire Brofman. Was that the other guy?
That's the Seagram's heiress person, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah, that was like heavily featured in the Bow documentary.
I felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders because I needed to overcome my Tourette's in order to prove that this treatment worked. I had to resist the urge to tick at all costs, which is exactly what he said it wasn't. Because I was so afraid to tick and mess up the study, which they told me would also mess up a cure for Tourette's and potentially other medical conditions that NXIVM wanted to cure. On 2 occasions while I was in Albany, Nancy and Mark threatened, oh, we're talking about Mark now. They threatened to send me home. They each mentioned that if I don't start acting better and trying harder, I will have wasted thousands of dollars of Claire's money that she had spent on me and their medical experiment. It was scary, but I couldn't show that because showing fear means something is wrong and I need to be fixed. The study these people did nothing for me except ruin my self-esteem, ruin my mental health, and made me hate myself. It did not cure my Tourette's in any way. What?
They just didn't want it enough.
That can't be. You
They just didn't want it enough.
coward. Try harder. I love that actually Mark got brought into this.
Yeah, I read through it and somehow my eyes just skipped right over the fact that that's Mark.
Yeah, Mark's in this. This guy's actually pretty high up. I feel like he's like very high up involved with all these folks.
Right.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Oh, well, what a piece of shit. Damn.
Himself.
I really do wish we had that, but okay, we have it now.
It was in there, but
And
it was just,
also,
the
you know,
whole
we-
thing was so freeform. It
was very dense, all the
Yeah.
stuff we had too.
Yeah.
There was just so much.
We went through quite an interview process because we're looking, we were looking for very specific people that, we thought just met a bunch of different conditions that thought, that they would be a good candidate for this. For all of those people, I would say 7 or 8 2 or 3 out of the 10 are down 70%.
Wow.
And the other 6, 7 are down 90 plus.
Wow.
And what was so neat is that once this started...
So neat. It's real interesting to think after reading that victim impact statement that they were just like torturing these people.
Yep.
And like scaring them and brainwashing them that they can't tick or they're fucking going to be buried alive or something. I don't know.
Started happening over the last 4 years. We had this incredible filmmaker who he goes, we got to start filming this. So we started to film it. And so what was so neat is that, you know,
Stop saying neat, bro. It's creeping me out.
I would find someone with Tourette's, or someone would tell me about somebody with Tourette's.
Yeah.
And we would go through this whole process to see if they would be a good candidate. And then once we thought if we had, you know, a good candidate, a film crew would go out to their life, film their whole life with Tourette's. They would come work with us in Albany, beat their Tourette's, and then we would go back into their life and film their life without Tourette syndrome.
Dude, he's full-time in Albany. That was their main headquarters. There's this one point, I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but he goes, it's like fat people. They have to really want to lose the weight. Tourette's is the same way. I says, how's that the same? It's a neurological disorder. You could cure, it's like saying you could cure autism if people really want it. You could cure Down syndrome if people really want it. It's like, bro, they're not, it's not fat. It's your fucking brain. Yeah, free my boys, by the way. Mark, I'm with you, brother. Free them all. Free Keith. Here's the exact timestamp of.
From the beginning, it's only a minute.
I'm
of the
afraid that
experts.
it's compelling. Frankly, I don't want. No, I will play it. I'll play it. So it's so obviously a goof.
You can see the fear in your eyes, dude.
I said it because I know that's what he was thinking. He was like, this is so compelling that it's going to change everything. But actually, Theo Vaughn has since talked about him being a NXIVM scammer. So, Jesus Christ. Gun squad? Just trying to get, Jesus. Very inspiring to have a man who beat Tourette's and a man who beat Down syndrome in the same room talking. Anything is possible. I was just curious what people's reception was. This is a great podcast. I never heard of Mark before, but I started digging and learning about ESP program he cited. Okay, the ESP was run by Keith Raniere, who was arrested for child trafficking. Whoops.
Oops.
This is the guy who made the documentary, who was like the main guy behind the vow. He saw it. He says, I just watched it. Genius. Thank you, Mark.
The good Mark.
Takes one to know one. The good Mark.
The good Mark.
Light side Mark. Raniere's spokesperson, Eduardo, actually responded. He has agents. He's in jail for 120 years, but Eduardo is still out here fighting the good fight. Justice advocate, bringing justice to FBI agents. Crimes in the NXIVM case. You can't beat darkness with darkness. So you're darkness, or he's light.
So were you saying this guy's in jail? I don't.
No. Raniere's
in jail.
This is his spokesman.
Got it.
Yeah.
Just a couple of days ago, in the conversation I had with Ron Sullivan from Harvard, we were talking about how
which school?
Harvard.
Yo. Okay. All right. Let me.
So
listen.
you know he's trustworthy.
Let me listen.
People have facilitated the suppression of due process because we were clapping when the government cheated on someone we didn't like. Funny coincidence, yesterday Marc Elliott, who has been vocal against what the FBI did to NXIVM and Keith Raniere, Mark went on a podcast, it's called H3, I believe, and they basically mocked him. You know, they invited him as a guest, and it was all sort of a trap.
We did not invite him.
Which
He asked.
He reached out to us. Yeah.
Makes sense why these people hate Keith and they believe what the media says. They seem to be very hateful themselves.
I'm not the media, bro.
We're very
Just for the record.
We're very hateful.
I mean, I own this whole bitch. Ain't nobody pulling strings.
We do hate pedophiles, though, which...
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
Keith
fair.
Raniere.
Don't be so hateful, Cab.
I don't know, man.
Stop being so hateful. You
we
have
need
too much
we
hate
need
in
to
your
start in the words of Kanye, we need to stop dissing pedophiles all the time.
Stop dissing the Nazis
We never
all
really
the time.
honed in on this. It makes me think on his website what he stands for.
I
Human
stand for-
decency for even the most hated, the canceled, the Me Too'd men, the accused, anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers.
These are not the most hated people in the world, just for the
Well,
record.
watch it. I love the escalation. I love anti-vaxxers, the arrested, just general.
Just everyone
who's ever been arrested.
All of them?
Yep. And then Trump, Biden, LGBT people.
LGBT people.
They're not the most
And
hated
minorities.
minorities.
All
just all minorities. Left-wingers, right-wingers. Someone who said the wrong thing. Someone who said or wore the wrong thing. Keith Raniere.
Keith Raniere.
No.
Insert who's next.
It's like y'all are so dumb. You can't even mask what this is all about.
I hate pedophiles. I dare you to put that next to your face, Mark. Put that
Yeah.
on the list there.
Yeah, just put that on the list.
I mean, he clearly does stand for pedophiles if he's running.
He's
defense
literally
for-
standing for them.
What's interesting is he says the most hated and then put like basically
I think almost everyone in the country would fall into one of those categories.
totally redeemable, debatable stuff. But like the one thing that everybody agrees on is like child predators, and he didn't actually put that on the list, which is what Keith.
Well,
went to
but
jail
Mark's
for.
name was on, or Keith's name was on there, so by proxy.
So here is Eduardo.
And they started doing what I was discussing with Ron. They started mocking, and they're seeing evidence of the FBI cheating. They're seeing the best cyber experts in the world saying,
"Dude, there's literally no evidence. You showed no evidence. It's just a bunch of talking heads being like, can you believe how corrupt the FBI is? There's no evidence. What are you guys talking about? Show me evidence." Oh, you goes, oh, the timestamp was that metadata was changed. Okay, show it to me. And also, I don't care because he did a lot of other shit other than that hard drive.
saying it, and they're mocking them, cheering at the destruction of the republic, so to speak. So it was unfortunate
republic?
to find that that's what's going on, as we hypothesized. Again, I believe that this is the devil turning around on us. So brave from Mark Elliott, and good job.
Good job.
He nailed it. Absolutely.
This is a good job. Y'all need better spokesmen, man. NXIVM is
Good
nothing
work.
without Keith. You guys need a cult leader.
Look at the replies to see how this message was received.
Let's see. Matt Gates from Wish. This you, bro? What's wrong with this?
I don't know.
Let's see. More replies. Oh, look, another Raniere hanger on who needs to be deprogrammed. Try
me.
What does that mean? What are we trying?
Deprogramming him, I guess.
What's your name? He goes, try deprogramming you? No, that position is better left for medical professionals. He goes, what's your name? Bro's trying to recruit in Twitter replies.
What's your name? Wow.
He goes, I don't divulge personal information to cult members. Sorry. You just divulged others' info publicly? I suspected it. Another anonymous chicken. He's really in the weeds here. Your boy Mark got owned. Don't know why you'd cover for someone who's obviously racist. Racist? I don't know why they...
Well, if you believe that he was faking Tourette's to say the N-word, I guess you could say he's racist.
I don't know.
Supposedly he supported Kanye when he was being canceled.
Because
Of course, he's
supports-
he's canceled, and therefore
he stands
by
with
default
everybody.
position of every single person is to support them.
The arrested.
Yeah.
So we love them. He also tweeted something out. If you want to call in, dude, Eduardo, do you want to call in? Like genuinely, come in. You know who we are now. It's not a trap. Call in, Eduardo. Call in. I dare you to call in. Somebody reach out to Eduardo. You can call him right now. It's live.
I don't know. By the time this comes back around to him, we'll probably be over this whole thing.
Just like Ron Sullivan explained a few days ago, the podcast H3 clapped at government corruption and mocked Mark Elliott for trying to expose it.
Yep.
What is this?
We as a people.
What the fuck is all this crap? It's all so like weird, seedy shit. Like it's all been recorded on a webcam.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying
We'll have
about
to
that
s-
that compilation they put together. It was all on Zoom. And it really
Cameo
just made
shit.
me wonder if they like called a lawyer to ask some legal questions and then just recorded it and put that on there.
100%.
Yeah.
I was posted in Cult Watch apparently. This is I wanted to give a crossover shout out over at the NXIVM case. They have longed for someone to call out Mark Elliott's bullshit claim that Tourette's can be cured. Raniere didn't discover shit. It's a well-known that shame and abuse can force people to hide their traits. I didn't know that. Shame and abuse? Well, it sounds like that's what they were doing. But anyway,
Based on that victim statement, yeah, it sounded like they were like like if you don't
you're
you don't-
ruining everything.
You're ruining our lives if you don't cure your Tourette's.
Yeah, so there it is. Lots of going on there. A lot of people were saying maybe this is why Mark thought I was pro Andrew Tate. And he did address his email to Dear H3 Podcast Highlights.
This was his research.
Oopsie.
So I was wrong about Andrew Tate. And then there's another one here. Why I changed my mind on Andrew Tate. Clearly did not click the videos, but
That's so funny. My
clickbaiting
bad.
backfired on it in his case.